Welcome, everyone, to the fan, the fanatic, and the fortunate, or the frustrated, or the flustered, or there's a lot of F's that were thrown around. We finally settled on fortunate, but we'll just say fortunate for sake of not offending people too much.
We landed on the fortunate for one reason and one reason only, and that's because you guys and the people that may join us throughout this series are fortunate not to bear the burden that Gabby and I bear when watching movies.
Which is?
The burden of knowledge.
The burden of knowledge.
Yes.
Knowledge is heavy?
Knowledge is heavy. Because if you know things, and then things are portrayed on screen a different way, kind of ruins the movie a little bit.
True. This is a thing. This is definitely a thing.
Yes.
Anyway, so the thrust of the fan, the fanatic, and the fortunate is this. That we, Mr. Masters and myself, and occasionally other people filtering in from time to time, will be watching all 10 of... Or no, not all 10. All 10 years. Yeah. Wait. All 10 years worth. Haha, saved it.
There we go. There's the 10.
All 10 years worth of the Marvel Cinematic Universe's movies. And as they continue to come out, we'll be watching those as well and tacking them on to the end. And we will be doing about 2 movies a month until we finish this up. It'll be on the last Friday of every month, where we will come together and we will recount to you our tales of wonder and woe in watching these, of course, fantastic films of which we are all great fans.
Yes, and there's one that I want to start off with right here at the beginning.
We're not
when you're done with the intro.
We're not there yet, and we'll rank them as we watch them, and there will be a lot of heated debates and just knockdown, drag-out fights over why I think certain parts of the Hulk make it a better movie than Iron Man and other things.
Oh, wow! Starting strong.
Hey, get your cheap shots in quick. Yes,
we're as cheap as the budget for the Hulk.
Hey! CGI was not what it is now in 2008. Remember, Avatar didn't come out until the year after, so that says a lot.
Avatar was in production for almost 10 years before it came out.
Because James Cameron was inventing the technology to make it.
He didn't invent the technology.
Yes, he did!
He did.
Smart people did. He just took credit for it.
His movie, he paid people, they made technology, he utilized it, and didn't release it until after the movie was released. So, he is the reason we have semi-watchable CGI.
Gabby, why are you so laggy on my side?
I'm laggy on my side, too. Don't worry about it.
But I am worried about it because it bothers me.
I'm sorry. I'm not dropping that many frames, so I don't know what your problem is.
Well, it's also showing me that you're running at 576p.
That is not what it should be.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
That's not a thing. Why is that a thing? Wow. That doesn't make any sense. I should have much better than that. I don't get it. Anyway, so we're going to be going through, point by point, movie by movie, knockdown, drag-out fight by knockdown, drag-out fight. I will win. And we're going to be just having a good time, watching movies, talking about them, doing all that fun stuff like the nerds that we are. And with that, Mr. Masters, what were you saying, or trying to say, before I just kind of ran over top of you?
I just want everyone in chat to know that Fanatic has been joining us on this adventure to watch these movies, and he didn't know that Stan Lee was in all of them.
Oh God, here we go.
This is the thing. So, we're watching Iron Man, and we come to the point where he's walking into the charity event, and he says, "Hey, Hef," and he bops Stan Lee on the shoulder and keeps going. He's fumbles around there, turns, and we're like, "Oh, hey, there's a Stan Lee cameo again." And Pirate goes, "What? Who's Stan Lee?" And there were just
stop production right then and there.
There were just no words. It was heart-wrenching, soul-wrenching, like mind-crushing to even conceive of the possibility that somebody had been watching these movies for 10 years, and even more than that, because his first cameo was in the first Spider-Man movie, which was like, what, 97? And, like, piratic. Why? How can a person claim? This is why you were not able to be, joined in with the group of the fan and the fanatic, because if you were a true fan, you would at least have known who Stan Lee was. Even if you didn't know his face, even if you didn't know the cameo, you're like, oh, who is Stan Lee? The name itself should put into your mind and into your heart a feeling of warmth and recollection and familiarity and nostalgia and just outright affection for the man who gave us and stood behind all of these wonderful stories which we are so fortunate to partake of today. Piratic.
Not as big of a nerd as you are.
This has nothing to do with nerddom. This is just appreciation for the art form of the comics, of the movies, of everything. It is required that you know who Stan Lee is, because Stan Lee is the reason that we have access. Stan Lee is the reason that we have the ability. Stan Lee is the reason that we have the great fortune to partake of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I'm sorry, everybody, for preacher voice that just happened.
No, you're not.
I'm really
Because
not.
you were doing the same in the middle of it. I don't like it.
He just doesn't have the flow and the rhythm and the
passion.
that too, and the
That's why I'm just the fan. He's the fanatic.
I thought I wasn't really sure how this was being named. I was just thrown at me this morning, and so I'm like, oh, the fan, the fanatic, and the freak, and I'll be the freak, and it's like, no, you can't be that because we have to have something else because you're already the fanatic. I'm like, I don't understand. I thought the freak was worse than the fanatic. It is, but we needed other alliteration, and I couldn't do that. And now, not to be mean, not to be dismissive, but can we really say that we can have somebody in every one of these episodes who doesn't know who Stan Lee is? I'm just throwing out the question. I'm just
He's been educated now.
okay.
We have educated him. He is okay.
Okay.
Yes,
Should-
Stanley is a brand of hammer.
Should there be a penance, something to bring him
Whoa,
back?
a penance?
Yes.
I have to put up with you through all these movies.
He does have a point there.
Moving back to the film.
Oh, I want to correct an earlier statement. By the way, I tried to throw a diss at Gavi about the Hulk's budget.
Uh-huh.
I want to update that clip with the Hulk actually had about $10,000 larger budget than Iron Man.
Only 10,000?
Only $10,000 more. And
Okay.
Iron Man was still better.
I think Iron Man was also slightly shorter. Was it? Let's see. 2 hours and 6 minutes?
126 minutes. No, it was longer.
Wow. Okay, so I'm falling back on that lack of proper. Also, the Hulk was working off source material, which is not part of the MCU, which is another thing we'll bring up in depth, in a little bit more in depth later on. Because
Well, alrighty then.
yeah.
Let's move on
Okay.
to the 2008 Iron Man, the one that started it all. Technically Spider-Man started it all. But, this one started the MCU.
Actually,
We just
I think
discussed this though. Stanley started all.
I think the first movie though of the modern superhero era was actually X-Men.
No.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
No.
Pretty sure.
We're gonna look it up.
No.
We may actually get to the topic tonight.
There have to be other super type movies out there.
2000. All right, let's see.
Yep, 2000, and then
Spider-Man.
2002. So
X-Men was first.
X-Men was first. But X-Men really isn't really lumped in with all the superhero
I was
movies.
gonna say, I thought it wasn't lumped in with this at all.
No.
Well,
We're just talking about like the onset of the modern superhero movie era. X-Men was
I would still give that title to Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man.
actually. You know what might have actually come first? This is gonna be so great if it is. It's gonna be so great if it is. Yes, it is. Okay, I take it back. The first film of the modern superhero era is Blade from 1998.
I don't think that
Would it
counts.
be like Superman though, or something like that?
No. Because Blade was because again, that's different studio. Blade was from 1998, and if you go back and watch the original Blade, it is actually fantastic. There's some campy moments in it. There's some things that are just like really bad CGI. Again, Avatar had not come out, and James Cameron had not released his technology yet. But it's actually a really good movie. It's really, really solid. And I would highly recommend you go back and rewatch it. Also, the Hellboy series from 2004.
Hellboy, I love those.
Yeah, those are awesome. Not connected with the MCU, but there is supposed to be a Hellboy reboot coming at some point, which may be connected to the MCU, which would be awesome. I would love to see that. Yeah, that's the thing. I may know a little bit too much about this, so yeah.
Which just proves the point.
It's just which is why I'm here. How about that? Who would have ever thought? Anyway.
Well, you're here for other reasons that we won't discuss right now, but yes, we'll go with that.
Alrighty.
All right, who are you trying to introduce me to? What? Oh,
Nobody.
okay, good. That's very good. I'm happy to hear I'm not being set up again. Twice this week is enough. Dadgummit. I would just like take the mask off and show you the face to be like what to show you why it's a bad idea to try and set me up with somebody.
It really is a bad idea.
But I'm just gonna just take my word for it right now. It's a bad idea.
Although if we can get Gavi to 1,000 followers,
that could be a thing. But I mean, I thought
that was the thing.
I've been at less than 900 followers for about a year. I mean, like I crossed over 800, and then I didn't go past that for like a year. So
you're at 872. Right now.
I'm feeling pretty safe that it'll be like another 2 years before I hit 1,000, and then then it's fine. Sure, I'll do a face reveal. Yes, I'm an evil person. Kakihara. It is not a no sort of question here. It's not even a question. There's nothing to answer to. It's just we're just having a conversation. Anyway, so backdrop notwithstanding, 2008,
2008.
Iron Man. How are we doing this? Are we doing like a quickie review? Are we doing what we liked, what we didn't like? Are we breaking this down by?
You hold the reins. You tell me.
Okay, let's break this down into 4 things. That seems like a good way to do this movie by movie. Number 1, direction. This applies to like pacing, story. Well, not so much storyline. Storyline would be more writing, I think. So direction, story. Actually, we have to do 5. Okay. So direction, story, character, performance, and connection.
There are Google documents that I can connect to.
And I'm making it up on the spot, so no.
Well, we need to get on that for next time.
Okay. All right, I will write that down on my handy-dandy notepad here. All right, so we're going to go direction.
Speaking of, before we start,
story.
Let's show the notes. Who took the most notes during these?
Probably Masters.
What?
Yep.
You said you had like 2 pages.
No, I said I took notes. That's not the same thing. I said I took enough notes to talk for 3 hours. For some of us, that's a lot less than others. Character, performance, and connection to the MCU.
I am not a good note taker, so.
All right, there are.
Just in case anybody is curious about this, do not watch movies with these two. They talk about every little thing under the sun, including the fly that landed on somebody's shoulder in the movie. So
We did not talk about that.
Masters brought it up before you joined.
I really did.
Okay.
What I did say, I said that that if there was a fly that had landed on Tony Stark's shoulder, you could talk about that for an hour, and it was my job and Piratic's job to steer you away from that conversation.
So you were insulting me, is what you're saying.
Pretty much. Yes.
Okay. By the way, for the record, these are all the notes that I took. Right there, that's them. And
Writing?
that's writing, yes. And the thing is, the first one we've already taken care of because we have officially determined and declared to the world that Piratic does not know who Stanley is. So the first
What's on your list?
so the first note is taken care of.
First and most important topic of the night is over. So have a good night, everybody. You don't have to do it anymore.
All right. So
please do.
So here we go. Why am I carrying all the heavy weight on this one? I'm just not really sure about this. All right. So first things.
You're not carrying the heavy weight. You're just starting. You're the one that starts pushing.
Okay.
That way I know which direction we're pushing.
Here's the thing. In 2008, Iron Man, Disney and Marvel knew that they were going to be starting a franchise, not a simple franchise like we had seen before. You know, there's like the 1, 2, 3 movie or the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 like we've seen from Star Wars. But we were about to be embarking on a grand adventure beyond anything that had ever been seen before. We were going to be introducing a full, functioning, living, breathing world to a living, breathing world, and we had to make sure that it was interesting enough that people would not be just tuned out after 1 or 2 movies. This was the Truman Show in real life, played out through actors and portraying a world bigger and broader and grander than anything that we were able to really conceive of on our own right. And in order to do that, they had to set the tone properly and knock it out of the park on the first movie. If they did not get that first movie to hit 100%, the entire thing would fall apart and nobody would watch the second movie. They had seen this happen already, and I'm going to reference it. I have some affection for it because there are some good things in it, but they'd already seen this happen originally with the Incredible Hulk film, which was what they were trying to base, not the Incredible Hulk, but with the Hulk film from 2003, or was it 2005? One of those two. 2003, I think. I think that was 5 years apart. Where they had tried to launch into the same sort of thing.
It's just called Hulk.
Hulk, right?
2003.
2003, okay. And they had tried to launch the same thing back then, but they weren't. The execution was not there. There are some great shots and scenes in that film, which I think are redeeming for it, and why I think it should actually be, which is why I think it should actually be considered at least a honorable mention in terms of the MCU, because there are some good things in it, and the Incredible Hulk does tie very heavily into it. It is based. If it is not a direct successor, it is a spiritual successor to that film, because there are story elements and plot elements which tie directly into it. Obviously, the presentation is totally different, the tone is totally different, the character, the actor, everything is totally different. But the tie-in between the two is completely undeniable. The general is different because in the 2003 film, it's Sam Elliott.
Is it different?
Yep.
Oh, it is different. That's how little I paid attention to that movie.
But just throwing this in here because I want to. My favorite point, my favorite scene in the 2003 Hulk movie. Hulk they've induced a change. They have captured him, they've taken him into the bunker, and they are trying to induce a change. And they're shacking him and beating him, and they put him underwater, and they're basically trying to turn him into Deadpool. When you go to that movie, which we won't talk about because it's not family friendly, it's not part of the MCU, but it's also fun. Yes, and anyway, so they're trying to induce that sort of reaction in him. They're trying to turn Bruce Banner into the Hulk. And they succeed. They get him to do that, and he breaks out of the glass, and he goes terrorizing and rampaging through this military base. And people shooting at him and trying to take him down. And they have the spray and the foam. They cover him up, and he breaks out of the foam, and he bursts into this room full of guys with machine guns. and he's looking around, he's confused, he's the Hulk, he doesn't have the mental capacity to really process everything that's going on, and you see all these guys with the machine guns just go pop up on him and just go, and all the guys trying to shoot him and just pepper him with bullets, trying to kill him, and none of it works because his skin is too thick, and you see just this massive rippling effect across his entire torso as bullets just begin to bounce off of his hard green torso, just like, I am bulletproof. And it's one of the greatest moments I've ever seen in a superhero film, because you see the power of the individual. He is above the puny attempts, the puny humans who are trying to take him down. He is bigger than that. He's more powerful than that. He is better than that. He is completely and totally indefeatable in that moment. He is the Incredible Hulk before ever that word's attached to him in a cinematic sense. He is great. He's mighty. He's powerful. He's awesome. And it is one of the best scenes I've ever seen in cinema. I love that scene. Now, that movie does have a lot of other problems with it. Certainly, but that scene alone, I think it has earned its spot to be at least mentioned in the same breath as the rest of the MCU, because because of that scene, and because it has such a great tie to the Incredible Hulk, which we'll get to later. I just want to throw that out there. But they had tried to base their entire MCU off of this movie before, which, again, some great scenes, but there are some things just really didn't make a lot of sense, like the entire ending. You don't even know what happened. You just assume at the end of it that the bad guy dies. You never really see him dead. You don't really understand how he died. You don't understand why he died, what the cause was, what the purpose was. You just see that, like, okay, he might be dead. He's kind of dead. It's kind of like when you go through Avatar: The Last Airbender and they get to Ba Sing Se, and maybe Jet sacrificed himself. Maybe he's dead. You don't really know. It's kind of unclear. They even talk about this, like in the third season. Like the Umbrella and the players are saying, like, okay, well, did Jet die or did he not? I don't know. It's kind of unclear. We just kind of left him behind for the Dai to kill. But in the same sense, in the Hulk movie, it's like, okay, well, there's no real conclusion there. You just see like this big explosion of blue things, which I guess might be where that came from, like why that is the new meta for every superhero film. There's the great beam of light shooting into the sky to finish it out. Okay, well, it doesn't really say, but I mean, like, that could probably be where we're tracing it back to, and it's just like, well, okay, that's nice, but it doesn't tell us anything more back then as it does right now. It's kind of a stupid way to end a film. And then it just kind of like, smash cuts to being in South America and a bunch of, mercenaries gathering around Bruce Banner and trying to rob him. It's like, hey, don't make me angry. You won't like me when I'm angry. You see his eyes turn green, and it's like, okay. But it's just not as great. It's not as effective at communicating the larger world. Iron Man steps in and says, hey, here's an somewhat ordinary guy. Here is a man totally self-obsessed, totally narcissistic, totally caught up in his own press, in his own ego, in his own, just dedication to the machine, literally the machine. And we're going to drop him into the middle of nowhere to demonstrate a weapon, which could only possibly come about through his genius, through his intellect. Which, in terms of world building here, just connecting it to the MCU, this is a brilliant stroke to talk about the Jericho missile right at the beginning of this film. Because that's what he's demonstrating. He's saying, hey, I am Tony Stark. I'm the biggest. I'm the best. I am the designer of weapons. I am the destroyer of worlds, And he shows up and he says, that great line. I don't believe that the best weapon is the one that you never have to fire. I believe the best weapon is when you only have to fire once.
That's what his father said.
I know, but I mean, like, he quotes it right there, and it's like, it's so great. And no, he says that's how Dad did it. That's how America does it, and it's worked out for us pretty well so far. I don't have the quotes page pulled up right now. I'm just doing that from memory, so you can fact check me if you want to.
No, that's it. Spot on.
Okay, but here's the thing: when he comes up there, he says, okay, this is the Jericho missile, and it uses Stark Industries' proprietary repulsor technology, and right there it ties the Iron Man mythos and the existing canon directly into the MCU. It says, hey, here's how we're going to explain how Iron Man comes to be. Tony Stark invents first the repulsor technology, which is a thruster technology, which is above and beyond anything like jets or anything else like that, or rockets or anything. It uses like gravitational pull and magnetism. I'm not entirely sure how it works, but what it does is it is able to focus a directed point of energy like away from you, and that point of energy like repels and propulses you. I'm not big on the science behind it.
He's not Tony Stark.
I'm not Tony Stark. Again, such a great line later in the film. Tony Stark built this thing in a cave with a pile of scraps. Begging your pardon, sir, I'm not Tony Stark. It's like, oh, so great. But somehow they still pull it off in the end. That's a whole other story. And so they give you the pieces right there at the beginning. Hey, here is the tool that he's going to use to build his.
That's something I didn't even think about. Was that the ex machina of they figured out the suit right there at the end.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
I mean, like he did take the chess piece out.
You're right.
But I mean, like in terms of how to put it all together and then to beef it up and put like again, I'm assuming those were like rocket boosters, not repulsors that were getting him up. But we're not there yet. I mean, I guess we're not doing a step-by-step review, so we could be there. But I mean, like, yeah, it is kind of interesting how the team who was inept were able to still put in so much extra effort and put in so much. Also, how strong really would Obadiah Stane's suit have been? Would it have been like at least halfway on par with the Hulkbuster armor? Because it's big like that, it's bulky like that. It appears to be a lot like physically stronger than the Iron Man armor itself. Like, so he like punches Tony in the Iron Man suit, and he just like goes flying backwards, which Tony is never able to really return back to him. So I'm seeing this, I'm like, well, maybe this it would be like semi-half, like a. Maybe it's what Tony based some of his design off for the Hulkbuster, because it is so much bigger and bulkier and heftier and able to take that extra hit. You were saying something, Pyretic?
Yeah, so, his suit, like Tony's suit is obviously a composite, some type of material. It's not a straight piece of steel, it's not aluminum, it's nothing like that.
Gold titanium. Gold titanium alloy.
Okay, well, it's still a composite metal though. It's not a pure natural metal, I should say.
Right.
However, Obadiah's suit was pure steel. You notice how it actually bent and took dents and things like that. So that's a big part of it. But going on to, like you said, his suit was that much more heavier, had to use all sorts of different ways to make it launch and move forward and stuff like that. So yeah, he wasn't using exactly what Tony used, but they were using what they thought they could get away with and what they thought would work.
Right. They were basing it off of his designs in the desert, which was like pig iron. I mean, like big, heavy, hard. Not so much hard, but actually a softer type of iron, which would be able to be bent back into place. That's the trick with Tony's gold titanium. It doesn't have a lot of flex to it. It's very, very rigid. And so that's why it would deflect bullets rather than just kind of absorb the impact. Obadiah Stane's is a lot more flexible. Yeah, so that's why that gold titanium is actually kind of an important thing, because that's why he's able to take some of those shots without having the deformation. But you see, as he fights on, his suit actually begins to shatter and crack rather than bend, which I think is actually a really nice attention to detail, because thank you TDJC26, appreciate you being here even for just a little bit. But like to be able to say, okay, well, because this is the composite material which we're going to make the suit out of, that's why it's going to react in this way. And then to actually be able to visualize that on screen, I think is really nice. You'll notice also that the actually, that's skipping ahead a couple movies, so let's not go there.
Yes, let's stick to the first two. We've already gone over our bounds, bringing in one that's not even in the MCU.
I maintain it's important to mention it.
And it's mentioned. Consider it mentioned.
Because it was what it was supposed to be based off of. Here's the thing. I'm glad the 2003 movie was not successful. I'm glad it didn't work out, because it allowed the technology and the storyline and the development to mature long enough for Jon Favreau to come in and just knock this one out of the park. It's required really for everything to hit at once. Like I said, it was required for everything to hit on this movie, and it did. Now, that's not to say that there's not some things which are a little bit off, but it really put this gigantic thrust forward to say, hey, this is something bigger, this is something better, there's more going to be coming. And that was before we ever got to the first end credit scene since, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Also, Login El Crack. I don't think I pronounced that right, but that's okay. I probably don't want to pronounce that one correctly. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. So yeah,
I will have to say the original Hulk movie, they did not do the character justice. The remake did a much better job at giving that character justice and showing what the MCU is about. However, like you said, you can't completely throw it off, but you really can't bring it into the level that these movies were done and the time and effort taken to develop these movies.
No, again, because I think what they did was they learned from that movie. They're like, okay, we were going to launch something big from here, and you can feel in that 2003 film that they were looking for a sequel. They were looking to turn it into a franchise, but they didn't quite do it. They messed it up along the way. They fumbled the ball. Whatever the analogies you want to use, they didn't quite make it. And so they took stock. They took a step back and like, okay, well, maybe this is just not the right way to launch this. Maybe this is not the right character. Maybe it's not the right actor. Maybe we need to. And the thing is, can we talk about the genius of casting Robert Downey Jr.? I mean, it's something which has been covered immensely by everybody before, but can we just take a second to step back and appreciate the genius of casting Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man? Because here you have an actor who, at that point, was in need of a comeback. He needed a redemption. He needed a redemption story. He needed a movie to work out for him without flaw. Disney needed this. Marvel needed this. Robert Downey Jr. needed this, and all three of them came together and like, hey, here's what we're going to do. We are going to make this movie to the best of our ability. We're going to make a fun story. We're going to make it interesting. We're going to try and lead it into something big. But, and the thing is, Iron Man works without going any farther. And that's a very important thing to look at. It works as a standalone story. It works with you getting to the end, Tony Stark standing up in front of the room of reporters and saying, I am Iron Man, cut to music. It works. That effectively ends an arc to be like, hey, there's a redemptive story. Here's a man who is embroiled in causing pain and suffering throughout the world, and we're going to take him from that point and drive him along to the point where he becomes not just a good person or a person who is neutral, but a person who is actively trying to remove the evil that he put into the world. That is an amazing, amazing story arc, and it followed Robert Downey Jr.'s own personal storyline, which is why I think he was able to invest so well in this character, and why he's still investing so much into it right now, because it was his comeback story. It was his swan song, his ability to be like, hey, I may have messed up before, and he had. I mean, we're not going to get into like all of his issues, but from before the MCU, but he had them, and he was able to stand up and say, no, I'm not going to let that define me. I'm not going to let that be the final chapter of my life. I'm going to stand up, and I'm going to give this world something so great that they have to put that aside and acknowledge what I'm doing right now. And that's what he did, and that's what Tony Stark does. He says, hey, I don't care all the bad stuff that I put in the world. I don't care about all the... I mean, he does care, obviously, because he's trying to stop it. But I mean, like, he's like, hey, I'm going to redeem myself. I'm going to pick my own self up from, this point of ultimate low. Basically given a death sentence by his own weapons. He says, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to carry this, and I'm going to rebel against the expectation, and I'm going to make something great and wonderful out of this, and I'm going to be a bigger man. I'm going to be the better man. I'm going to present myself to the world as being bigger and better and more powerful than you could have ever imagined, because I see that it is right. I don't want this to be the one I'm remembered for. Like Alfred Nobel. Like almost paralleling that story exactly, which I think may have actually been an initial inspiration for Tony Stark back when he was originally created by Stan Lee, Piratic, just in case you'd forgotten. And I think it may have actually been a bit of a harkening back to him, because Alfred Nobel was, at the time, what happened was he invented dynamite, which he thought was, just a useful tool to do mining and things like that. And a newspaper in his town got a mistaken story. His brother died, and they thought it was actually him. And when that happened, they printed a story about him dying, and the thing that he was being remembered for was a merchant of death, because people were taking his invention, they were using it to kill people. And he's like, I don't want that to be my legacy. I want to stand up and I want to do something different. I want to be remembered differently than what I have been done before. Which, oh, it's so good! I just watched this awesome video I'll have to share with you guys later. I just connected that my head with Infinity War, where Thanos goes, I hope they'll remember you. And I'm like, oh, that's so good. To me, that's like confirming that he is a Nobel archetype, where it's like, hey, I have put danger and death into the world, but I don't have to be defined by that. I can be remembered for the great and the good things that I do, and the great and the good things that will come about because of my efforts. And that's precisely what Alfred Nobel did. He went and he created the Nobel Peace Prize, an award based on people providing good to the world, putting good out there, building the world up, and just providing a better environment for everybody to live in. That is just precisely the type of archetype that Tony Stark is fulfilling here, where he says, hey, I don't have to be defined by this. I can rise above it, and I can do something better, and I can change how history remembers me. Which ends up being a more poignant, an even more poignant thing in his life later on, but that's in future movies. So, in terms of direction, in terms of story, in terms of character, Iron Man absolutely knocked it out of the park. In terms of performance, Robert Downey Jr. stood up and he's like, hey, I am going to take this to a new level. I'm going to, and it set up not just himself, but other characters as well. Although he was allegedly short-lived, he's still alive. Phil Coulson, it kind of give you this kind of like off-branch.
Spoilers.
Hey, he's in the movie! He's in the... Interesting question. Why is Phil Coulson not an Incredible Hulk? Anyway, we'll get to that in a second. Perhaps, maybe. Depends on how much steam I still have and when we get there.
Maybe they thought the Incredible Hulk was going to really kill the MCU, so they didn't want to really tie it in a whole bunch?
The MCU has never released a flop. Even the Incredible Hulk made its money. The MCU has never had a flop. They release every film with the absolute expectation and intention that it is going to not only earn the money, but is going to become, at least in some regard, a revered film.
Is that why they've redone Spider-Man like 10 times?
That's not the MCU.
That's not the MCU. And I will stand by Spider-Man 2. I'll also stand by Spider-Man 1.
Oh my goodness, please, no.
What?
No.
What?
Spider-Man 2, no.
Yes!
No.
That is one of the greatest superhero movies of all time.
No.
How?
How? Because of the villain! Overall, that is the MCU's biggest issue.
Wait a second.
Not the Amazing Spider-Man 2,
No.
Spider-Man 2, Dr. Octopus.
Okay, yes.
The fight on the fight on the back of the.
I was thinking Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, not Spider-Man 3, not that,
Spider-Man.
not that.
Okay, I can stand behind Spider-Man 2.
Not that steaming pile of hyena. it's like this mound of hyena filth. It's not fit to take the dirt from my spats. That's the wrong one. That's the wrong. Also, great villain, but not the right one. Again, that's the MCU's biggest problem. They keep killing their villains. Don't kill your villains. You need them. If we have time tonight, I have an idea to introduce the greatest Marvel villain of all time into the MCU, and I can do it immediately after Infinity War 2. And it's going to be so great, but it will not happen because they're not going to pay me for my idea. They're not even going to hear my idea. This is a tiny little thing. But, I have such a great idea for this. Sorry.
Well, we have about 2 years before we get there, so.
I know, but okay, you don't know yet. But I came up with this idea, and I'm like, this is the best idea I have ever had in terms of writing a script or a story or anything like that. I want to see this happen. It's never going to happen, but I want to see it happen so badly. In case you couldn't tell, because he's.
Why do you feel like that the Hulk is better than Iron Man? We haven't touched this subject yet. I know we discussed it a little bit during the movies, but
who said the Hulk was better than Iron Man?
I think he's talking about character-wise, not movie-wise. Is that correct, Pyretic?
Correct.
Okay.
What? I'm confused.
Okay. Do you view Bruce Banner and the Hulk to be a better character than Tony Stark and Iron Man?
Yes.
Okay. Why do you believe that?
That's a good question.
Hashtag unprepared.
You better believe it. That's how I live my life. I would say that that the duality of the Hulk versus Banner is a lot more in depth than just Tony being Tony all the time. Whether he's in the suit, out of the suit, making the suit, getting killed in the suit, he is Tony Stark.
Yes and no. I understand what you're saying. But the Hulk is a static character, while Tony is a dynamic character. The Hulk really, Bruce Banner and the Hulk can't really ever move past where they are, because they're both fighting one against the other. Now, if they become, I forget what the term is, when they become...
Mysterio?
What?
Mysterio?
No, Mysterio is an MCU villain.
Yeah, I know. The way you say it is weird. It's Maestro?
Maestro Hulk.
Is it Maestro?
Yeah, Maestro.
Yeah. Yes, Maestro Hulk is.
Yeah, but like Maestro Hulk, where they merge together, that is a change in the Hulk. But until that happens, or unless that happens, the Hulk remains the same, because it's constantly Bruce Banner trying to contain the Hulk, and the Hulk trying to prove his worth over top of Bruce Banner. Because everybody liked Banner. It's like, okay, well, great. But we want to see. We have to see some sort of character development, and we did see a little bit in Thor Ragnarok, but we're not there yet.
We have. Okay, well, we won't touch on that just yet.
We have not gotten there. We're not going to touch on that, but we have seen a little bit of. In fact, we saw a lot of self-sacrifice on both of their parts in a later film. But at this point, and up until that point in the MCU, everything is just like, no, they're both trying to take control of the same body. They both want to be in control all the time, but they can't do it because whatever. And so they become this static character, which, although very cool, and it creates this great dichotomy, like, okay, well, which one is actually going to come out next? Which is, again, something that comes up in a later film for the first Avengers movie, Avengers Assemble. When that... It creates a great level of just uncertainty in the film, where you're never really quite sure, like, hey, is Bruce going to come out here, and is he going to just like save the day? Is he going to like come up with something brilliant, or is the Hulk going to show up and just beat the crap out of Loki? Spoilers. That's what it's like. No. Oh, I love that. I love that so much. But because he's this static character, there's not really any place for him to grow, because he's stuck. He can't grow beyond that constant pushing back and forth between Banner and the Hulk. They've started to explore that now, but at this time, in 2008, there was no exploration of that. It was just like, hey, there's Banner and there's the Hulk, and they're constantly pushing back and forth against each other. And this is what's been going on for the last 10 years. Not until really this year have we really seen any sort of difference in that. And so, but Tony, although his personality is always the same, he is always Tony, whether it's in the suit or out of the suit. That's why, kind of like Captain America or Thor. They're always the same. It is their identity. They don't have a secret. There is no more secret identity in the MCU. Even Spider-Man has this problem now, and so not really a problem, but just like this thing where it's like, hey, we know who you are. There's no. If Captain America shows up to save the day, no one's gonna be like questioning, well, like, who's Steve Rogers? Well, Steve Rogers is Captain America, and that's kind of the point why it's so brilliant to end the Iron Man movie, or Iron Man, the first one, on that note of I am Iron Man, because he's like, I am declaring myself and the suit to be one and the same. We are this character. You cannot separate one from the other. We are together the same thing. Which I guess is probably what's going to end up happening eventually, but that's speculation for another movie and another character. But with Tony, he says, okay, I have already rectified my superhero persona with my human persona. And so because of that already coming together, he's then able to develop both of them simultaneously as a dynamic character. He changes dramatically from film to film in order to overcome some new flaw in that personality. So he's always has the same personality, but he doesn't have the same personality flaws. In the first one, he's apathetic and arrogant, where he's like, I have created all these wonderful weapons. I am able to sell them to whoever I want. What they do with them is their problem. Has nothing to do with me.
Are you saying he's gotten over his arrogance at all?
No, but I'm saying that he is redirected. Okay. I'm saying that aspects of it have been stripped away. So,
okay, just being clear there, because I'm pretty sure Pepper would agree that he is still.
He's incredibly arrogant, but here's the thing. He has become arrogant in a self-effacing manner, where he is arrogant now, not because he believes he is greater than everybody else, but because he is acting arrogant to maintain the facade, because he knows he's not greater than everybody else. And you can see that so clearly in Infinity War. I mean, they're like beating you in the face with it in Infinity War. With just how much that his personality has changed. Even in Iron Man 3, there's this huge several moments where he's realizing what he's done, what he's gone through, the people he's hurt, the lives he's claimed, all this stuff, and it's just like it weighs upon him. Which in terms of like Tony Stark's development, it's really. I have some affection for this movie too, which I probably shouldn't, but I mean it does have several redeeming qualities to it, although it's clearly not the best in the bunch, particularly just because of how it grows Tony Stark as a person. And again, you see this play out through Civil War and then on into Infinity War, where you see Tony just like slowly stripping away these progressive layers of arrogance, of just overbearing narcissism, where although, yes, he does still present himself as being better and being above everything and being, untouchable, he himself realizes that he is the most vulnerable of the group, because he is still just an ordinary guy in a suit. He doesn't have any special skills. He doesn't have anything. All he has is like the mind inside the suit. Also, Iambic Mudflap, thank you for that follow. I do appreciate it. Hopefully you're enjoying the talk tonight. And so he does have this dynamic storyline. He does have a dynamic character where, although his personality does not change, his presentation of that personality does dramatically, and the underlying tones of it have been greatly built upon and just revealed just delicately over the last 10 years. So in terms of character, Robert Downey Jr. is the pièce de résistance of casting in the MCU.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, there hasn't been a better casting of character. Well, I can't say that because all of them since. It started with him, and then, as you pointed out in The Incredible Hulk, that was the guy. But then, drama queen he is.
Yeah.
So,
and
yeah.
And I did a little bit of extra research on this, and we can kind of start moving more into The Incredible Hulk, I think, at this point, because we've really beat Iron Man almost as badly as he's been beating every one of his movies. No offense to Iron Man fans, I'm currently wearing his face, so
technically you're only wearing his mouth.
Don't shoot me. I don't have armor. But in terms of connection to the MCU, I mean they do a lot of really good world building in this. They talk about like S.H.I.E.L.D. shows up right at the beginning, not right at the beginning, but like fairly close in, where it's like, oh, the strategic homeland Intelligence, Enforcement, and Logistics Division. Which, again, really needs an acronym. Oh, it's S.H.I.E.L.D. Ha ha ha. Nobody knew what that was. Ha 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 ha. Yeah,
Well,
yeah, right.
To be fair, I'm bad with words,
Uh-huh.
so I didn't.
Okay, we'll give you more of a pass on that than we will Piratic not knowing who Stan Lee was.
Yeah. Okay. There's a reason this is a
that's
command.
like 5 times now.
Yeah, Piratic, this may be a thing we mention every episode.
Oh, yes. This is going to be a running joke. In fact, we might add a counter next time.
We just might. We'll have to keep track tonight.
Let's go back and watch the VOD.
All right. Anyway, so it creates this great launching platform for the MCU, and it introduces some key characters in the next couple movies. Number 1, Phil Coulson. Number 2, Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury. Who would have ever seen Samuel L. Jackson just popping out of the darkness going, "I am Iron Man," and just owning this, just like just completely tearing down the whole, again, starts tearing down the facade of narcissistic Tony. First thing he does, he throws Tony's words right back in his face, like, you think you're so hot, you're so great. I walked into your most secure spot. I'm in your bedroom right now, and you didn't invite me. And what are you going to do about it? Because all your suits are in the basement.
And you haven't developed the technology to call them to yourself yet.
Haven't done that yet. I'm here. Deal with it. And it's just like, bam! Oh, Nick Fury, where did he come from? And it's just this awesome moment. And you even get to see a little bit of the interplay of how S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to interact. Like when they're going, like when Pepper calls them and they show up and they start breaking back into Tony's lab. And they have she's like, oh, and Pepper's, being kind of clueless and ditzy at this moment, where she's like, oh, what's that? Is that like going to pick the lock or something? And he's just like, no, just come over here and just stand with us. What's going on? Boom. Okay, and blows the lock open. Ah, she freaks out. But it kind of shows like this like not necessarily the driving force, but like the puppeteer holding the strings behind the scenes that S.H.I.E.L.D. is, because they're not S.H.I.E.L.D. does not have a superhero. They have Hawkeye, they have Black Widow, but these are agents. They're not superheroes. And Hawkeye brings this out later on in Avengers 2, where he's like, I'm a guy with a bow and arrow. None of this makes any sense. Why am I here? There's no reason that the guy with the bow and arrow should be in the middle of this fight. But that's precisely what it is. They're not superheroes. That's what makes them awesome. That's what perfectly suits them to fill that role, because they don't have the technology. They don't have the super strength. They don't have the super strength, the super speed, the calling down thunder from heaven. They don't have any of that stuff. All they have is their desire to see change made in the world for the better. And so they do their best to support those who do have the power. And they start to bring up this wonderful system around them, which again falls apart in later movies, but we'll get to that later. And it may not have actually fallen apart totally, because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is still airing, and the things going on, and Nick Fury was in Infinity War, and yada yada yada. But the main point is that it introduces you to this shadow organization, which everybody knows about, and is apparently a fully sanctioned government entity at this point, because it's the Strategic Homeland Intervention and Enforcement Logistics Division. It's talking about, hey, this is truth, justice, and the American way. Is that Superman's thing? But it's like this is them. These are these guys. They're here for truth, justice, and the American way. And like, oh, great, woohoo, yay! I like Superman too, but this is the MCU, kid. And so like they pop up and they're like, yeah, well, this is what we're here for. We don't really know how to do that, but if you do, we're gonna help you out. We're gonna give you all our support. We're gonna send troops and soldiers anywhere we need to. And if you just happen to blow up New York City in the process, we will come and clean it up after you're done. Which, strangely enough, came up at some point. But
we'll get to that in a later movie.
A later movie, yes.
That's only because Chicago was destroyed by Transformers. So
this is the thing.
That a second time.
Hey, we like the Hulk here too. We're about to start talking about the Hulk, but I mean, in terms of setting up a world, Iron Man did exactly what it needed to do. The direction, again.
So,
yes, sir.
So we didn't talk about this at all, but do you think that Pepper was portrayed properly?
I think Pepper is portrayed better in the second movie.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Because in the first one, you really don't. You just see like this basically personal assistant that's there, you know, helping him with everything. But in the second one, at least her role gets more defined and her character gets expanded on.
I'm not sure that Jon Favreau in the first movie really knew what to do with her. He was told that she had to be a character, but he wasn't really told. And so she kind of became like the archetypical damsel in distress who kind of ends up actually saving the day in the end, because she threw a switch, which Tony was not in a position to do.
Push the button!
Push the button! I love that. Thank you. But yeah, she really didn't have that much to do, but they needed to have her here and at least roughly set up. And I think to a certain extent, all the way back in 2008, they had Infinity War in mind with.
I wasn't distracted.
With Pepper, because that conversation in the park at the beginning of Infinity War, I think has a little bit of a tinge of this one running through it, because like there's stuff that's talked about there, which is like it wouldn't make any sense at all if they didn't have this kind of on again off again sort of relationship dating all the way back to 2008. It would not work. Hey, Mickey D, welcome.
Hi guys.
How you
I
doing?
was saying guys at the dogs because they're growling at each other and playing. But hi, how are y'all?
We're doing good. How about?
Respond to it as well. So.
How about yourself, huh?
I just got off work.
Really, Gabby? Really?
I just got off work. It was very hectic.
They've been making me talk for the last hour.
Making him.
Hey.
Yes.
Well, no, you just have gone on a tangent, and I've had to interrupt so that Masters can get a word here.
So, what are we talking about right now? What have I missed?
We're talking about
closing in. We are finishing up on Iron Man.
Okay.
Yep. But as I was saying, we have Pepper, who we needed to establish her relationship with Tony in this movie. We needed to have that so that she could play that bigger role coming up in later films, particularly at the ones where we're at right now. I think we are going to see a terribly, terribly, terribly heart-wrenching story come out in the next Avengers movie.
Oh, don't talk like that.
And it's gonna revolve entirely. It's gonna revolve entirely around Pepper, and it's just gonna hurt people. And I'm so happy to see it.
Oh, I don't even want to think about it.
Oh, it's gonna be so good. Oh.
Spoilers.
Gabby's a monster.
Oh.
Spoilers.
Oh, I just thought of something. I just thought of something so much worse than I had before. Oh, you guys. I just want to put this out there. Can I throw out this potential?
No. Nope.
Nope. Oh, it's gonna be it's gonna be so good.
I want to hear it. What is it? Let me have it.
Wait till we finish Infinity War.
No. Because this is
Who hasn't seen it?
This is a prediction. It's probably
Hold predictions till the end.
It's okay. We'll hold predictions to the end, and I'll also at the end I'm gonna write this down. I'm gonna write this down. All right.
You write it down in Masters. Okay, what were we talking about? Oh, Pepper.
I like pepper. I prefer more salt than pepper, though.
Yeah.
So I mean, we sort of don't see. We sort of see this love life in Hulk's, thing. But what do you think helps keep him grounded, other than always being angry?
Well, first you have to question why he's angry.
Well, that's one thing. That's another thing.
Right?
That's another thing I didn't like about the Incredible Hulk, is that it wasn't just anger that triggered it; it was his heart rate.
Yeah. It was.
That's not right.
Or it was emotion. It was. And the thing is, I think that the 2003 film actually did a better job of portraying the anger.
Yeah.
I'll agree with that.
Because
I've never watched the Incredible Hulk movie. I need to watch it. I missed out last week.
You are now officially useless in this conversation.
Not yet. We're still on Iron Man.
Even though I've never seen the Hulk movie, though, I know a lot about the Hulk. So.
Okay, so kind of the mythos behind the Hulk is based around like, okay, he loses control. The Hulk
See,
was scared to show up in Infinity War. Yes.
Movie gave you a better idea of how he became who he became.
I totally agree.
That is one thing that I felt very much lacked. You know, after watching the original one, after watching that one a second time, and thinking about it, it's like they don't actually tell you what happened here. They just, you know, all of a sudden this guy shows up and he gets angry a lot. Like, what?
And the thing is, there's a lot of points in that movie where Bruce Banner becomes the Hulk where he is clearly not angry.
Yeah.
Like clearly not angry. He's frightened, he's agitated, he's a bunch of other things, but he's just not angry.
Are we allowed to reference future movies?
As long as you pull it back in pretty quickly. I'm not doing a good job of it, but I'm trying.
No, you're not.
I'm talking about in the Avengers movie, he says, I'm always angry.
Yeah.
And if you watch the Avengers movie, there's a difference between Bruce Banner choosing to Hulk out and getting angry and hulking out.
Right.
Like, go ahead.
Well, you're right. There is a major difference between just like, but again, the Hulk becoming, or Bruce Banner becoming angry and turning into the Hulk is like its own separate verbiage. Like even like in common usage now, it has become part of our societal zeitgeist that we just assume that if someone says they're hulking out, that means that they got angry and are about to break something. We just associate this thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
But there are several points in Hulk where Bruce Banner becomes the Hulk.
Is that your mic?
I don't.
That's kind of like.
What's going on?
Your mic sounds like you're pouring water on it again.
What's going on? Let's do.
Oh, that didn't fix it.
That was worse.
It was just a second. Is it better now?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
For now.
Okay.
Oh, there it goes again.
Stop eating the mic.
I'm not eating the mic. We're a foot apart here.
The mic would disagree.
I don't pay you for your opinions, Mike. No, we're not getting paid. The mic's not getting paid either. Is it? How is it sounding right now?
That's okay now.
Okay, good.
Nope. Still, it's intermittent.
It's intermittent. That's very helpful.
Not really. That's the worst kind of problem.
All right, let me just like drop out of the call and come back. I'm not sure if that's going to help. I'm going to see if it's a Discord thing or not. So I'll be right back.
Okay.
Story.
Oh, he's
Oh,
back
no.
already.
He's back. Dang it.
Yeah, I had a feeling that was going to happen. All right, how are things going now?
So far, so good.
So far, so good.
All right, maybe that fixed it. Let's operate under that assumption. All right,
That's
so
a scary thought.
yes,
Where were we?
we were talking about the Hulk and Bruce Banner turning into the Hulk without actually being angry, and it happens several times throughout the movie.
Several times, and almost happens once during coitus.
Yes. Well, they
Not good.
didn't quite get that far. They were about to, and then it's like, oh, wait a second, this is a bad idea. Which was
Pre-coitus.
You gotta remember, because so they started writing this in mid early 2000s there. So they're coming off of the whole craze of the 90s and what sells and what doesn't sell and whatnot. So they had to include some type of humor like that in there.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much why that was done that way. But nonetheless, it actually sold the scene pretty well. It's just, again, they don't give any background to her or anything else, which kind of drove me a little nuts watching.
Yeah. I think the director had a bit of an issue. Louis Leterrier. Try and say that any number of times. It's very difficult. I'm not even sure if I'm saying it right. Leterrier? Something like that? I don't know. Probably not terrier, but it's spelled that way. Let me actually pull this up real quick because I want to see this one. I think it was Ang Lee. Yeah, Ang Lee directed the first one, or the one in 2003.
Yeah.
Which...
Are we talking 2003 or 2008 right now?
Yes.
2008.
We're comparing the two.
Well, we're talking...
We're comparing the two, but we're talking about 2008 as the actual movie
Okay.
we're comparing to.
What we're discussing right now is kind of the usefulness of the 2003 movie as a lead-in to the one in 2008. Because there's a lot of context which you just don't have in the 2008 film without the 2003 film. Now, again, we've mentioned this several times before, we'll say it again. The 2003 film is not good. It has some good moments, it has some good parts, it has some good scenes, it has some good things in it. But overall, it's a bad movie.
Mm-hmm.
Just straight up. But some of the elements that it has are necessary in order to understand the motivations that happen in the 2008 The Incredible Hulk.
Okay.
And so it's kind of frustrating, really, that the MCU has kind of shunned it and been like, hey, we don't really want anything to do with this film because we want to have our Hulk, not their Hulk. And again, the Hulk from 2008 is not even really their Hulk anymore because because he is a prima donna and a drama queen, they ousted Edward Norton and replaced him with Mark Ruffalo. Which I found out Mark Ruffalo was actually Louis Leterrier's first choice for Bruce Banner in the 2008 film, but the studio execs overwrote him because Edward Norton came to the casting call not just to audition, but also like with a revised, improved script. Edward Norton has a writing credit on The Incredible Hulk. He's the reason why half the good stuff in that movie is there. He came in and like rewrote the entire script and be like, hey, here's how this works, here's how this works. Again, you don't have a backstory for it, but you do have to admit that the relationship portrayed on screen between him and Betty does work because you do feel some of that chemistry, some of that emotion, some of that stuff. That was all his injection into the script that would not have been there if they'd have given it to Mark Ruffalo. So we got a
I thought I would be indebted to him.
So we have a better movie because of Edward Norton.
Theoretically.
But theoretically, yes. We theoretically have a better movie because of Edward Norton, but we have a more confusing timeline and probably, again, I'm not sure, I think perhaps, again, this is speculation, I think perhaps part of the reason why we don't have Angry Hulk in The Incredible Hulk, it could have been because of Edward Norton. He may have gotten the characterization down for the humans, but he may not have fully understood the characterization of the Hulk as being this angry fellow.
Yeah.
He doesn't really... and he even puts a joke off about it in the beginning, like trying to understand, Portuguese. And he's like, you don't want to see me hungry. Well, he's trying to say angry, but he's actually saying hungry. Which, like, okay, it's funny, but I almost wonder if that might not have been something messed up actually in his head. We're like, well, maybe if he gets hungry enough and he's on the verge of starvation, Hulk will come out and find him some food or something like that. Because it almost seems as more of a self-defense mechanism rather than an actual separate entity inhabiting the same body, which is kind of necessary for the entire relationship between Bruce Banner and the Hulk. And they do have to have some sort of relationship. And they do, and that again, that comes out in later films, where they actually do have some sort of a back and forth working relationship with each other, where they both understand one has to be in control some of the time. Because otherwise the whole Black Widow thing just does not work. It just doesn't work. Sun's getting mighty low. Hulk don't care. Deal with it.
Hulk hungry.
Feed me. Why would the Hulk care unless he realizes that he is too Hulk to properly relate to Natasha? Yeah, I mean, and so you kind of need to have this working relationship where they both start to respect and to move each other. But in this movie, you don't have that. You don't see that. You just see the Hulk being used as a self-defense mechanism. Like, even to the point where when they're not sure whether he still has the Hulk inside him or not, how do they find out? Do they make him angry? Do they slap him? Do they hit him? Do they, punch him in the nuts? No. They push him out of a helicopter and they impact into the concrete. Well, let's hope he doesn't.
Technically, he dies.
That's
how the Hulk is brought back.
Like, technically he dies, right? It's like, what? This doesn't make any sense. This makes no sense whatsoever because he's not angry. He's
dead.
in fact, he has. If anything, he's fearful, but he's altruistic.
But the Hulk is still like the Hulk. I think does to some extent exist to protect Banner. I think he does protect him because that's his. Basically, he's connected to him.
Yes.
Because in the Avengers movie, he says, "I put a bullet in my mouth," and the other guy spit it out.
Yeah, you're right.
And the Hulk would have had no reason to be angry at that point. So he is a self-defense mechanism.
He is, but what I'm saying.
When Banner gets hurt.
But what I'm saying is that the characterization of him in this movie is entirely self-defense. There is no anger.
I feel like they had to do something to help justify him a little bit more and give him more backstory, and that's why they brought up the whole, I put a bullet in my mouth type of thing, and the other guy stopped me. I think that was part of it because, us as a fan base, we had a lot of comments on all of these movies. There's never going to be somebody completely happy, but we can agree on which movies were good, which movies could have been done a whole lot better, and which movies actually, portray the way we feel it should be portrayed. So, they added little things in there like that, and it's funny because watching them then, didn't pay attention to them, didn't even notice them. Watching them now, pay a whole lot more attention to it now because of what I've learned and how I've seen the way the movies have progressed. And it's really funny because I haven't watched The Incredible Hulk in probably the better part of a decade, yet I've watched all the rest of them and been fresh on it, and then you go back and watch it and it's like, okay, yeah, there's some things here. Honestly, I think they would have been fine with keeping Edward Norton, but I'm glad they changed the actor. I really wish though that they would have included some of the backstory on why he became the Incredible Hulk, and I think the only reason they didn't is because they had the other Hulk movie out that was pretty fresh, so they were like, well, we don't want to reinvent the story, yet we do it 15 times to Spider-Man because, well, why not?
Right.
I'm so glad they didn't redo that with Spider-Man Homecoming.
Gavi, he has given you 2 times now to come out with your little joke, and you have yet to bite a hold of it. You probably don't even remember, do you?
No.
We'll get to it by the 4th reboot of Spider-Man.
Oh.
Which could happen any day now.
It's a thing.
It really is a thing. So many reboots of Spider-Man.
I think we're gonna have Tom Holland for a good while.
I think so too. And I think Tom Holland was a good pick.
They kind of messed up their big surprise with killing him in Infinity War because he's already signed on for like 3 more movies under his contract. But
that was like half of the characters, like Black Panther. I mean, they took Black Panther.
Goodness.
He's like their moneymaker right now.
Side note: I am so tired of all of the clickbait videos and blogs where it's like actor reveals major plot points for the next Avengers movie. It's like, and you go in there and read it and it's like they said that they're coming back, that they're not dead. It's like, well, no, right? Of course they're coming back. It would be a horrible movie if they didn't.
Like, I've heard.
I walked out of the theater knowing that those guys were not dead forever. Some of them maybe, all of them no.
I've heard that it's going to be a lot of time travel in the 4th one. I don't know if it's true, but that's what I've heard.
Now,
unless they get Doctor Strange back first.
Wait a second.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wait a minute. There's a Doctor Strange thing that needs to happen.
No, I was
Anyways,
just.
we need to get back on topic.
Okay, no, I guess it is not.
Stop going too far.
Yeah,
too far into the
don't jump ahead.
You're too far.
Rein it back in.
Why are you in my face? Stop going. Stop.
Let me see. When did Kevin Feige take over the
Marvel? Looking for Gabby.
I'm looking to see when Kevin Feige took over as like the head of the MCU. Okay, so he's actually was the president since 2007. Okay. Because here's the thing. I said this about Iron Man as well. That Iron Man could have ended at Iron Man. It could have. It finished its story. The Incredible Hulk largely probably could have ended where it did. Although it was clearly set up more sequel-minded than Iron Man 2 than Iron Man, because like what does he do is what's his last thing? Days without incident, dropping down to 1, where his eyes turn green and you see him like intentionally becoming a Hulk, which is the only hint at Bruce Banner gaining any sort of control over the Hulk at all before Avengers, where where after he's already been the Hulk.
Thanks for the follow, Eventless Splash.
Where after he's already like accidentally turned into the Hulk several times. After he's already done this like several times by accident, they said, "Well, how do you? We gotta get you angry. Well, what's your secret? I'm always angry." And then he turns into the Hulk and just pounds the thing into the ground. Great, beautiful scene, wonderful. I love that. But up until that point, all we've seen is like the Hulk is this complete wild card that you have no control over. In fact, that's part of the plot of Avengers. That's part of what makes the movie work, that you just don't know what the Hulk is going to do. And then all of a sudden, bam, he shows up like, hey, no, I do have control over this. I do have some level of, interaction with him enough to be able to say like, okay, come out now. Don't come out now, sort of thing.
So this is moving ahead though, but
yeah.
Who do you think is really in control? Is it Bruce Banner or is it the Hulk?
At this point, to keep us going any further, at this point, at the end of The Incredible Hulk, it is still a toss-up.
At this point in the MCU, as of right now, the Hulk is in control, and has been since the end of Age of Ultron. Yeah, because you'll notice that even in Infinity War, although Hulk is never on screen except at the beginning when he gets beat by Thanos, the reason he doesn't show up later is because he is in control. He chooses to not come out. Mm-hmm. Hulk is in control right now, and the thing is, they're having this pushback. Bruce Banner was in control, and then Hulk started to mess up his world, and now Hulk was able to gain complete control for 2 years. And now he's like still in that point of he has more control, and I believe what we're going to end up seeing is that there's going to be that merging of the two identities, like we saw with Iron Man and Tony Stark in the first movie. Right there at the end was like, no, I am Iron Man. Tony Stark, and there's going to come a point where these two have to merge in order to coexist, in order to make life work, and we're not there yet.
It's got to be a symbiosis. It can't be.
Yeah, a house divided against itself cannot stand, and a Hulk divided against itself cannot bed Natasha.
Okay.
So now, why do you say it's up in the air right now?
Because at this point,
in the Incredible Hulk,
in the Incredible Hulk, at this point, Banner.
Really?
Hush.
Yeah.
Hush.
Really, what?
You.
I was getting to that. At this point, in the Incredible Hulk, Banner knows what and how to get Hulk to emerge, but he does not know how to control it. He can't. If something happens to him, and he wants to not be the Hulk, he can't not be the Hulk. He can be the Hulk, but he doesn't yet know how to not be the Hulk. And that is why I say it's a toss-up. Super side note, my sister just sent me a picture of the new Little Mermaid live-action poster. I put it in Discord. Go take a look.
I already saw it.
Yes.
I saw the trailer for this a couple months ago. I'm not expecting good things from this film. Now, I want to see an ID on the actress, but we're gonna get off that really quickly. They have told someone that these were family friendly. And then
Hey, this side is not family friendly.
and they should show their 8-year-old son this, but
Moving on.
moving on quickly.
I wasn't there. I didn't say that out loud enough.
Wait,
What?
What? Huh? Good. It was muffled enough. Good.
I'm on IMDb.
Something about Zendaya?
Huh?
Huh? Yep.
No, I'm on IMDb. I'm looking something up.
Uh-huh. I'm sure you are. Alright.
Okay. My sister just pointed something out to me. Go on that picture.
Mm-hmm.
We're so totally sidetracked right now. Go on that picture.
Yeah.
On the right side of the screen. Zoom in a little bit.
What is the...
Somebody in Disney marketing needs fired.
This is almost as bad as, like, the preacher at the end of the animated movie.
Those were his knees.
I'm sure those were his knees. Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, what is her name?
Ariel.
That's what I thought. Why do they not have her listed as a character?
Because this isn't the proper Little Mermaid. That's why. I've seen the trailer. It's a Little Mermaid. It's not the Little Mermaid. It's a Little Mermaid that gets pulled out of the ocean and thrown in a circus and has to swim around and pretend to be a human in a fish costume.
Wait, what?
Yes, this is
What?
Disney's Little Mermaid. This is a fake poster. This is not the right one. There is a Little Mermaid movie in theaters right now. It is an abomination.
Yeah, that's not what.
It's Disney's Little Mermaid.
No, the one I sent you is
A mock-up of Zendaya. I know.
89.
Yeah.
yes,
Old. I am
Yes.
old.
Yes.
Hey, think about when Peter Pan was released.
Don't do that. Kronk's Kitchen. I want your spinach puffs right now. Oh, sorry.
Wait. Peter Pan, like, as in the original Peter Pan?
Yes, the
or
original
live-
Disney Peter Pan.
Yes.
Yeah, I wasn't born yet. We're all good.
Snow White was 1937. That's a whole other story.
Yeah, Peter Pan was
Okay,
1960.
back to this.
All right. 1960?
Yep.
That's a lot more recent than I thought it was. There's some jokes in there they couldn't make in the 60s, and they still did.
You mean like we only wanted to drown her?
I was gonna talk about what makes the red man red, but you know what? Let's just.
Well, apparently, he blushed when he got kissed by his wife.
Yeah.
So
Apparently, a very racist movie. I'm not sure. I haven't seen it in about 3 years.
it did make. I watched it the other day, and it did make me question it a little bit. I was like,
Some of this you just can't say anymore. I wonder why. Anyway, so back to the Incredible Hulk.
back on topic.
We'll get back there eventually.
This has been the sidetracked half hour.
It's only about 15 minutes.
You know, I just thought about something. So technically, both of these characters were dead in their preview movies.
What?
What?
So Hulk dies when he jumps out of, the helicopter and goes splat.
Yeah.
Technically.
And Iron Man technically dies when the thing gets ripped out of his chest and, he pretty much goes into cardiac arrest.
Okay.
But he doesn't actually die.
Yeah,
I mean-
he could have.
I mean, cardiac arrest is not. You're not brain dead.
Well, no, brain dead and dead are not two. They're not the same thing.
Also, point of order. I have a problem with the thing in Iron Man's chest keeping his heart pumping.
He
Because
doesn't keep his heart pumping.
I know it keeps the metal shards from going into. It provides us a low magnetic attraction to keep the shards from going into his heart.
Yes.
Here's my problem with this. Why then does he go into cardiac arrest as soon as the magnetic pulse is removed? It doesn't make any sense. Are there? It's not like they have acceleration past the point of being inside of him to try and reach into his heart.
Correct, and it's not like it's a pacemaker that is keeping his heart beating a certain way.
Precisely.
At what point are you referring to?
Like when Obadiah Stane hits him with the paralysis thing and pulls it out of his chest, and he starts going into cardiac arrest. Why does he start?
No, I think that was more. He was still overcoming the effects of the paralysis.
No, because when he's in the chair and replacing the old unit with the new unit, with Pepper there, she pulls out just the magnet, and they never replace the magnet, by the way. Just point of order, they never replace the magnet that's supposed to be keeping him alive. Mm-hmm. And as soon as it comes out, he goes, "Oh, I'm going into cardiac arrest. Please plug blah 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 back into me."
He was joking. That was a joke.
No, because the monitor was going.
I'm sure you know how Tony is. I'm sure he set all that up just to scare her.
He did not do.
No. That was real.
That was legit.
Was everything.
No.
Yeah.
Because
I disagree.
Because again, you have him kind of doing this better than you, but also sort of self-effacing humor at the same time. Whereas, again, it's the self-effacing to build himself up. Where she pulls it out and she goes, "Oh, what's wrong?" He goes, "Oh, nothing. I'm just going." And like you can see his eyes get bigger. He's panicking. He's tensed back in his. He's clearly in distress. Nothing. I'm just going into cardiac arrest. I mean, it's just like that. That's what's happening there. That's not him pulling an act or trying to pull a joke on Pepper. It's like, hey, he's actually about to die unless she fixes this, and then they don't actually put the magnet back in. But that's a whole other story.
Yeah, that's the other part of it. It's like, okay, we need to fix this, but let's not fix it properly.
Yeah, make sure you don't pull out the magnet on the other end. And she pulls it out, and then she just plugs in the other one, and it's all good. We don't need the magnet anymore. But what? That doesn't.
Well, technically, that was just the electric coil.
Also, from all the times he's been punched in the chest, wouldn't they have just
Guys.
been? Yes.
One, the arc reactor is the magnet. It's like an electromagnet. Two, he starts going into cardiac arrest because the shrapnel starts going into his heart.
How?
How does the shrapnel start going into his heart?
Yes, if it's in his body, it's inert matter. It's not moving on its own.
I don't remember the exact specifics, but that's what's happening. That's why he's going into cardiac arrest, because his heart is literally being stabbed by the shrapnel.
Well, then he should have massive. Then he should automatically start having massive hemorrhaging, and out of that little hole in his chest, you should have started seeing blood spurt 30 feet across the room. Because if he's damaging the heart muscles and tears open a chamber of his heart, you should see blood spurting out every time his heart pumps. Just saying. And also, that's not how a heart works. That is how a heart works. Not if something damages it, it stops pumping, but it keeps functioning. It just keeps pumping, and it just goes everywhere. That's how hemorrhaging to death works.
You're spot on with the whole matter is inert and stuff like that. However, if you think about it, a heart is a beating living object. So as that heart gets bigger and smaller, it gets closer and further away to that metal. So
you have a good point. I retract my statement on the inert matter, because it could be scraping up against it, but that still wouldn't cause cardiac arrest. That would just cause it to start to tear open and start hemorrhaging to the tune of 30 feet away. I mean, that's the kind of pressure your blood is under at that.
I haven't heard that song before. Could you hum it for us?
What? To the tune of
30 feet away. What's that song sound like?
Oh, please don't.
Oh, I want to so badly.
We've avoided Gabby singing for so long tonight. Let's keep it that way.
I love Gabby singing.
We don't want to chase
Kuya's
away
singing on the other
people
side.
that are still listening to us.
Yeah, we could have Kuya singing. That could be worse.
That happened once
Oh!
in the 3 years that I've been friends with Kuya.
It's happened.
No, it's happened twice.
It's happened twice.
And I've been lucky enough to miss both times.
Wait, didn't he say
I did go back and watch a VOD
Mm-hmm.
and immediately turned it off, and I have been against Kuya singing ever since.
I still have audio files if anyone's interested.
Nope, I am not. If I ever decide that I need to torture myself on an emotional and physical level simultaneously, I will give you a call.
Okay, gotcha.
All you've got to do that is watch Infinity War.
Nah, it doesn't affect me like it did you.
Well, no.
No. If you want to torture yourself on an emotional and a physical level, you know what you need to watch? You need to watch the first 6 minutes of Up, and then just hate yourself forever.
There you go. That'll do it.
Oh, it's so sad. Why Disney? All right. Anyway, moving back to the topic. Moving back. I'm having a lot of fun, aren't you?
Okay, so
Yes.
we're kind of in the middle right now between Iron Man and the Hulk.
Yeah.
We've kind of mixed them.
Didn't we have a checklist that we were supposed to be following with this too?
Well, generally, but all I want to do is get in direction, story, character, performances, and then connection to the MCU. And we're doing that. We're just kind of going all over the place to do it, which is
We
okay.
are going all over the place. Well, I refer. Gavi is going all over the place.
I'm chasing your rabbits. You're just throwing stuff out there and like, hey, let's see what happens. And I'm chasing the rabbit down, and I'm killing it, and flaying it open, and stringing it up, and like, tanning the hide, and making little Fabergé things out of the bones, and just don't ask.
Attention to detail.
Always go one step further in description than you have to.
This is why we get along, Gavi. We are the same person.
All right. I don't hear you providing insightful fan ravings.
I am the introverted you. How about that?
I am such a high level introvert. You don't even understand. You do not even understand. The only reason I'm able to do this right now is because my door's closed and I don't have anyone else in the. I am technically all alone right now. You're here. We're having a conversation. We're having a great time. But I'm technically all by myself, and it is glorious.
Yes.
You got a cat.
So, but that would
Okay,
make
I am
me,
all by myself plus a cat.
That would make me the higher level introvert because I am in the same situation, and I still can't do it.
Giggity?
Well, good night, Mickey. It was nice to have you. Oh wait, she's silent. She's deafened. She doesn't hear anything.
Oh, she is.
Oh, the things you miss when you aren't paying attention.
Might have been on purpose.
Might have been. I may have yelled at her. I'm not sure. I lost track of what I've said. I apologize if I did. Unless I meant it, in which case then I don't. But, anyway, so getting back to this wonderful movie that we've been trying to talk about, it does have some connection to the overall MCU. It doesn't have as much, again, like I was saying before we got off of that huge rabbit trail, it can kind of stand on its own. But there are some things which do lend towards a sequel, but not necessarily an MCU sequel, which we've never had because rights and everything else like that. I think, yeah, I think the actual movie, like to have another Hulk movie, I think it's actually Metro Goldwyn. I think it's actually Metro Goldwyn Mayer who holds the rights to the next Hulk movie, but they are leasing the character back to Disney and to Marvel in order to have him in the MCU because that's the most effective version of getting their product out.
Okay.
And the best way for them to make more money.
Yeah. And so they're allowing that, but they're not allowing a full movie to be put out because a full Hulk movie because that would infringe too much on their rights on their copyright, and they don't want to have that taken away.
Well, so we've dissected this Hulk movie a good bit, and we've discussed the other Hulk movie a little bit. Do you really think it's time, or is it the right time for another Hulk reboot to kind of go back to where he came from and why he is who he is?
We do not need a reboot.
We cannot reboot the Hulk. It's too late. Can't do it. Because all the actors who...
The only way we could reboot the Hulk is if we've rebooted the entire MCU.
Or you could reboot the Hulk, but you'd have to have a different Hulk. You'd have to get Gray Hulk or Purple Hulk or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what happens if they did like an origins type of story or something like
nobody
that?
Nobody would want to see it. Because we technically already have it. Nobody would want to see it.
I feel like most people know the basic origin story for the Hulk. He got gamma bombed and he turned into the Hulk.
Yeah.
So no one's gonna want to. Honestly, no one will care that. Oh, so he's in love with Betty Ross.
And
Although I have wondered where Betty Ross is in this movie, in the new Avengers movies. Like, where is she? Do y'all know? Is that explained in the
She is
Incredible Hulk?
probably deep underground, being held captive by her own father, General Thunderbolt Ross,
Yeah, probably.
because he's now back in the MCU as of Civil War. And the thing is, which was
I
all,
haven't gotten that far yet, so I don't remember any of that.
he's the guy who comes to.
Not later movies.
I was just reminding Piratic.
No.
Okay,
Later movies.
fine, later movies.
You're reminding me of all of that.
I had a thought and I lost it because Mickey D was speaking.
Abomination, or was this about Betty,
No, it was about.
the
We
general?
were talking about rebooting the Who.
Oh,
Rebooting the Hulk.
rebooting the hoot. Wow, I didn't read that message earlier. Okay.
Yep.
Talking about me?
No, he's talking about the command you just input.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Did not read that one earlier.
What is the? What was it?
I don't
Okay.
know. It's your
Hey,
head.
what was it that you said before the Betty Ross?
She's deafened again.
What did she keep doing that?
I don't know. She's not committed to this podcast. Sorry.
So what was it that she said? It was something about Betty, but there was something before that.
Oh, where was Betty?
No,
Doing
before
all
that.
this? I don't know.
Well, she did ask.
Oh, she was saying about like everyone kind of knows the origin of the Hulk. You know,
Everyone knows the. Oh, right. Everyone knows the origin of the Hulk, but also with the Hulk, the origin story is. There is no origin story. It is literally Bruce Banner, genius, gets gamma radiation while doing his treatment to come up with a super soldier and accidentally triggers himself into becoming the Hulk. That is literally the origin story. There is nothing else to it. But with like Iron Man, we get to follow his journey on not only creating the suit, improving the suit, but growing as a person. And with the same with all of the other Avengers, all the other superheroes. The Hulk does not technically have a origin story worth telling.
well, the thing is, it's technically already been told because 2003.
Yeah.
It's already been
So
told.
you're thinking that's why they chose not to revisit it at all when they made this?
Yes. Well, they technically did revisit it because the opening credits, that is the origin story.
Yeah.
That is all that is needed.
I almost wonder if the Incredible
so
Hulk
if-
was actually intended to be part of the MCU, because the only real tie they have to the MCU now, which again is one of the things, their connection to the larger MCU, is that is General Thunderbolt Ross, the character himself, and then the end credit scene where Tony shows up, which was a tacked on ending, which was not actually supposed to be part of the movie, but was something that was like, hey, we might have something here. Let's try and tie this together. And that was
I think, like,
because Incredible Hulk and Iron Man were filming at the exact same time.
yeah, for me, thinking back on it, I didn't even realize that the Incredible Hulk was considered part of it
Precisely.
until somebody was doing one of these, which one's better than the other, and that was on their list. I was like, I didn't even realize it was part of the MCU.
Right.
It's
And
like, because it's such a standalone movie, except for that one scene at the end,
Uh-huh.
and like you said, it almost makes me wonder if it being brought into the MCU is because of what happens in Civil War.
no, because we did have the end credit scene with Tony talking about the Avengers Initiative.
Yeah,
And so, but again, at the time of filming, that was not really, that was not really thought. That was not the thrust. That was not the idea while it was going on through filming. But when they finished the filming and Iron Man came out, and it was the hit that they were looking for, like, hey, why don't we try and tie these together?
Yeah.
And they did an okay job at it, but there's but again, and I talked about this when we actually watched the movie a couple nights ago. The villain, which is a pretty decent villain for the Hulk, the Abomination, to really like test, the Hulk against another big bruiser type, played by Tim Roth, which was actually a lot more interesting to watch before he turned into the Abomination. He turned in a killer performance all the way up to the point where he just becomes a CGI monster, and then it's just like, oh, okay, who cares? But up until then, he's fascinating to watch because he's like
the scene where he's running through the field and runs past all the other soldiers to go and fight the Hulk is probably the most cinematic thing in that movie.
Oh, and the end of it is so great. They're pounding and these shards of metal, and he's like flipping through it. Is that all you got? Is that all you got? And then is almost disappointed. Is that all you've got? And then just boom, and he's dead. And then it's like, okay, well, it's Sergeant Blonsky. Oh, okay, well, does he have next of kin? Well, you could ask him yourself. What do you mean? He come in and he's sitting up in bed. He's like, I'm ready for more. And I'm like, yes! This is exactly what we wanted. We have an interesting villain. Of course, then he goes a little bit off the deep end and becomes the Abomination, which again, as I said, was supposed to be in Age of Ultron, but they cut him for budget and time reasons because there was too much in the movie already. And so that would have been way too much. But he is somebody who could still come back because he was not killed in the movie. And I want to see him come back. I want to see him get pared down. Oh, I just had a really good idea on how I could do it, and I'll get to that in a second. The other idea I had on how to introduce another fantastic villain into the MCU. Oh, it's such a good idea. I love it. I'm having fun. All right.
Speaking of villains that didn't die in this movie.
Yes.
Let's talk about the one that never became one.
And should have.
And
still has the possibility to turn up. Brainiac.
Because he could have been pulling the strings behind the scenes this entire time, for all we know.
Maybe on Earth.
On Earth, yes. Not the whole Thanos thing.
No, not that.
No.
But Tim Blake Nelson plays, Mr. Blue, and he gets some of Bruce Banner's blood in his head, and a wound in his head right at the end of the film, and you see it and you see his head growing after it hits there, and you see him smiling. He's like, you can see intelligence. You can see it.
You can see the intelligence flooding in. He's super excited about how fast he's thinking right now.
And we're all like, yes, Brainiac! This is going to be awesome! And then it's like, oh, we'd never hear from him again.
No. Brainiac?
Yes.
Is it Brainiac?
It's Brainiac.
I thought Brainiac was DC.
It's the leader.
The leader? What?
Brainiac is DC. I'm pretty sure you're thinking the leader.
Yes, Brainiac is a fictional supervillain appearing in American comic books published by DC Comics.
Okay, it's not Brainiac. Who is it then?
It's the leader. I bet you money it's the leader because he's a gamma monster in the
leader
and stuff. What was the character's name?
Samuel Stearns. Okay, there we go.
Yeah.
All right.
The leader.
It would be the leader. All right, my mistake.
A fictional character, supervillain appearing in American comic books published by Marvel.
So yeah, he could have been the leader. But okay, so
sorry, I wouldn't have caught that other than the fact that I've been watching Supergirl the past couple of days.
All right.
And Brainiac is one of the
villains there.
Yeah,
one of the sons of Brainiac is in the show.
Brainiac is Kryptonite. Is Krypton. He's from Krypton. He's a computer from Krypton.
Okay, yeah, you're right. I'm not as familiar with DC, so the name stuck in and it sounded cool.
Yeah, it's because we both said it at the same time when we watched it the other night.
Yeah.
and it just hit me when you said it that time that that's not correct.
And the thing is, even on, again, Wikipedia, so you have to take it with a grain of salt, but even on the Wikipedia page, it talks about how Tim Blake Nelson portrays Dr. Samuel Stearns in the 2008 superhero film The Incredible Hulk. So it was clearly intended for him to be for him to come back, but he never has. And until I think we will not see him unless we get another standalone Hulk movie, and we probably do need another standalone Hulk movie.
Yeah. I know another standalone Hulk movie with Ruffalo would be awesome.
You know,
especially following the storyline that they're working on right now, coming out of Ragnarok.
Here's what I think is going to happen. We're going to get into the second.
We're not into predictions yet.
We're halfway there. Give me a sec. Just give me 2 seconds, okay?
1,000.
We're gonna get through the end of Infinity War, and there's going to have to be a reconciliation between Banner and Hulk, and it may give us a brief glimpse into the possibility of Maestro Hulk. It's a possibility, and we're gonna
Hope so.
And we're gonna see this.
I highly doubt it.
We may see a brief glimmer of it, a flicker of it, where Hulk and Banner really team up and do something amazing together because they have to. And then if we could have a standalone Hulk film after that, where Banner has to come to grips with that, of like, okay, I have to accept the monster, and the monster has to accept control, like self-control, then that really gives a great interpersonal interplay and a full character arc which can be brought to play in a movie. And I think that'd be really good. That's a really good thing to see. And the leader would be a wonderful thing to play against, because he's already, because of the way his mind works, he would have already been in full control of the monster and of the mind, and would have been able, and would be a perfect foil for the Hulk to go up against while he's battling through this thing on his own. And only by really coming together could they do it, and then bring in a new, like a fully realized Maestro Hulk at the end of it.
The leader uses.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say that the leader uses words a lot of times to fight, even though he has like psionic powers and other stuff. He uses words to fight a lot of times, which, if Hulk and Banner are working through all this, would be a perfect time for them to bring the leader in,
right?
Because he would be vulnerable at that point.
Yeah, because go ahead.
The problem is, though, what are we thinking of timeline here? When we go from the Incredible Hulk to Avengers, and all that, what are we looking at timeline here? Because and correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't the leader's powers start to diminish after a period of time? Like, doesn't the gamma start wearing off on him?
I'm not sure. I've only come in contact with the leader a few times.
I want to say in the comic books, after a period of time, and I don't know if we're talking like 10 years or we're talking like 30 years, but the gamma starts wearing off, and he's noticeably changing because of it.
I'd sit here in silence because I didn't know the leader was a thing.
Hold on, I'm reading.
You said it during the movie, didn't you?
Not the leader. I was thinking Brainiac as well.
Yeah, they're kind of similar. I'm not seeing anything here about him losing his powers. But even with that assumption, you have to come. And the thing is, that would really set up another really good story arc for the Hulk to follow after, where he has that movie. Marvel has disposable villains. We just have to accept it at some point. Defeats the leader, destroys him. He's gone forever.
After a period of time, the gamma radiation in his body began to wear off. At first, the leader attributed his lapses in concentration to overworking his mind, finding ways to defeat his greatest enemy. Basic, simple things that used to be simple to him are now hopelessly beyond him.
Well, okay.
Now we're talking about Grey Hulk. So.
Well, here's the thing. In terms of the leader versus the Hulk, think about going through this movie. They go through this. Banner and the Hulk finally band together. They beat the leader. They're good. The leader's gone. But they realize that the reason they were able to beat him was not entirely because of their joining together, but because of the breakdown of the gamma radiation in his body. And so then they have this like moment of crisis, like, hey, now that we've come together, are we about to lose one another? What's going to happen? And so then that sets up a whole new thing where it's kind of like this another film where they're worried about whether or not they're going to be able to continue as that Maestro Hulk.
Okay. It says that the leader lost his powers, but he regained them by draining radiation from somebody.
I wonder who.
It was Rick Jones.
Oh, well, that's unfun.
He drained gamma radiation from Rick Jones, who was suffering from Hulk-like transformations, blah, 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 and regained his powers. So that could be a way that they would start out the movie, is he's regaining his powers or something. I don't know.
Well, the first one at least.
That would be though. Yeah, that would be though if they did a spin-off on him himself versus just living more of the Hulk series.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if it's in the MCU, they wouldn't have to explain why the leader has powers. Why the leader has powers or is losing his powers or whatever, because he would just be a throwaway villain. He'd be there for one movie and probably would be gone.
Yeah, well, that's
the
kind of
unfortunate part of the MCU.
That's kind of what I was saying. That if they do a Hulk movie like that, where they do have the leader in there, that'd be a really good way to end it, where the Hulk beats the leader, but he realizes at the end, because he has that coalition with the Hulk and Banner to become Maestro Hulk, that the reason they were able to beat him was not just because of that coalition between the two, but also because the leader was losing his powers. And then that sets up another story for them to go through, where they have to worry about whether they're going to lose their powers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It'll be Iron Man 3 all over again.
Sort of. But I mean, but less PTSD. Less PTSD.
Are you sure?
Poor Iron Man.
Probably less PTSD.
He's my favorite. Like he's my MCU favorite.
We are so past favorites at this point.
What?
Nothing.
We're so good.
Nothing. I'm not being critical.
What was that, Gabby?
Nothing at all. Don't worry about it.
What was that, Gabby? Huh? What was that, Gabby?
I'm being a good.
I can just go back and watch the live stream. It's not a big deal.
I'm deleting the VOD.
Oh, okay. I mean, I love Cap, but Iron Man is my favorite.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right. So
I thought you liked the Hulk. No.
in this review,
I actually never said that.
We can find whether or not you did.
Whether or not I said that I prefer the Hulk?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
No, I've never said that. I do like the Hulk, but Iron Man is my favorite, followed by Captain America, followed by Bucky Barnes. We can go through the whole list if you want. Hulk's probably like 11th or 12th. I don't know. It depends on how many actual Avengers are in between it.
Hey, at least the Hulk made the list.
I think this is going over her head.
A little bit.
Banner's above Hulk, though. I like Banner more than Hulk.
Yeah, this is definitely going over her head. We're good.
Considering I missed like half of the conversation, Anyway.
Yeah.
So, with this review, I know Gabby probably has another 16 hours worth of information he could give us.
Probably.
Just about the flea that fell off the lens during one of the shoots. But
it was named Frederick. He was a wonderful person.
He was. Keyword was.
Rip Frederick. 2018.
Not 2018. He would have died in 2008, you guys. Or probably more like 2006.
Well, when he fell off the lens, he was never quite the same again. Anyway,
okay, you're moving on.
National Flea Olympics then, or?
So, I'm hinting at, do you think it might be time to wrap up?
I just wanted to touch on a couple quick things.
Okay.
All right, number one, the direction of this film, of The Incredible Hulk, needed a lot of work. Particularly the big CGI fight at the end. They don't feel real. I mean, they don't look real. Again, the CGI was not what it is now, which is unfortunate, but they were working with the best with what they had at the time.
Were they, though?
They were. I mean, I remember seeing this in 2008 and being like, wow, this is... It looked good in 2008, but like even 2 years later, just like, no, this is terrible. And yeah, just a little bit sad about that. The story was...
Wait. So you say the CGI was bad, and could they have done better? What year was Avatar made?
2009.
Okay. What year did Avatar start being developed?
Again, we've covered this several years before, like 10 years before, like 1990. No. But
the ability to make better CGI.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing you're missing. James Cameron either funded or created himself the technology to film Avatar over that 10-year period. And only after his film was released did he start to license that technology to other companies and other people to use it. He didn't let anybody else use his technology until his movie came out. Which is why our CGI looks better nowadays. For the most part. There's some people who just like, oh, we'll just throw some stuff together. But for people who like, but for studios and for people,
if I could remember his name, I would cough it right now.
But for studios and for people who like actually care about what their movie looks like, they're using his stuff. Because here's the thing: James Cameron is well known for making some great movies. Terminator 2, Aliens, great movies. But every single movie that James Cameron has ever made, Titanic, every movie he's ever made, although great movies in their own right, are less impressive for the movies that they are, but more impressive for the technology that he pioneered behind the movie in order to be able to make the movie. Every single movie that he has made has been groundbreaking. Like Terminator 2, the T-1000. James Cameron helped write the code to make the T-1000 be the T-1000. He's the one who helped make that realistic water effect and the liquid metal phasing through the bars. He's the one who created that technology. Now it's commonplace, but what did not exist before James Cameron. And so when he created the technology to do Avatar, it took time and it took effort. And he's like, I'm going to make my best movie with this technology, and then I'll release it to everybody else. But he did not. It was not available in 2008 to make Iron Man. It was not available in 2008 to make the Incredible Hulk.
They were using similar technology. Yes, it has gotten a lot better, but they were using similar technology way back when The Abyss was made. The Abyss was made in like the early 90s somewhere.
The Abyss was the first one to. The Abyss was the first movie to use realistic water effects, the very first one, and everyone has to acknowledge that. But in terms of but that was like a 12.
Something and like keeping it under lock and key so that you have the best movie that you can make and all that.
Yeah.
But you can't tell me they didn't go to him and be like, hey, look, can we borrow some ideas here? How do we get this a little bit better? And I mean.
When did you learn about Avatar?
When did I learn about Avatar?
Yeah. When did you learn about it? When did it pop up on your radar?
2006.
Okay. That's about when I was a little bit after that. It was like beginning of 2008.
Well, I mean, it was something that he talked about,
mm-hmm.
and he didn't quite spell it out, because when you first heard Avatar, you were thinking, okay, Avatar is something, not a movie, not a.
In 2006, you were thinking it's an awesome kids show.
So awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
And then
so awesome.
But it hinted
and a horrible movie. Let's be honest.
That wasn't the movie wasn't until the movie was not until 2010. So don't even go there.
Horrible.
But
what
he
movie?
hinted about
Avatar.
Yeah, no, not that Avatar. Or not that Avatar.
Yeah, I know, but it was a horrible movie.
He had hinted at Avatar.
Not as horrible as Dragon Ball.
The concept of Pandora and all of that. 20 years before then.
But he was saying the reason he was
okay, I'm gonna do this.
He brought it up, but he said I can't do it because the technology's not there. And so he made the technology. That's what he does. He makes technology to make movies.
I don't know. I still think that they could have done better.
I'm sure they could have.
For whatever reason they didn't. I think part of the reason they didn't was because
budget.
Budget was
Yes.
a big one.
Yes.
Budget
They only
was
had
definitely
$150,000.
$150 million.
Million? Did I misread the zeros?
You misread the zeros.
Yes, because they paid the actors more than that.
Yes, I misread the zeros. 150 million. That seems more reasonable.
Yes.
$150,000.
Although I did read an article about places that or movies that started with a really low budget and ended out, really well. There were quite a few movies on there that surprised me.
Yeah, there's a lot of movies that had a very low budget to start with, but I mean,
Cool.
but there's not a lot of CG. I mean, and they make jokes about how low the CG budget is in that movie.
I know. It's great.
Repeated several jokes about how, don't have enough money for the rest of the X-Men? Just like, yeah, okay, great, fantastic. But I mean...
My favorite joke sidetrack. My favorite joke in the second movie was one where he goes in the mansion, and he's like, what is it with this place? Why is it only you two? This gigantic place, and there's never anyone else around, and there's just a room full of everybody, and they slowly close the doors.
Oh man!
Oh, that's my favorite part. Okay.
Anyway,
so,
when are y'all watching the next movie?
well, we're not there yet. Just give us
In about 20 minutes.
We're not there yet.
Next month.
Anyway, so
Next month? What? Oh wait, this is the end of the month.
Tomorrow is next month.
let's say about 20 minutes would be next month. So
I was going to say, in about 37 minutes to be next month, so never mind.
No, not for you.
No,
not for
it's
us.
an hour and 37 minutes.
yeah.
Well, technically, it's already tomorrow and the rest of the world.
Yeah, in lots of places.
All right. Anyway,
Okay, so wrapping up.
wait, we're not wrapping up yet.
Wait,
Yes,
what
we are.
about his
If you-
predictions? I want to hear the predictions that
He
were
is.
forced to be
This is part of the wrapping up sequence. Oh my goodness,
Gabby,
Gabby,
your
your mic.
What's going on with my mic now?
Your mic.
It blew up again. Stop pouring water on your mic.
I'm not. You can see my hands. I'm doing nothing.
You're spitting all over it with your exuberant
Tell the
voices.
cat to stop rubbing up against the mic.
I have a pop filter. It protects the mic from that kind of crap. So
I don't think so.
Obviously not.
Take the pop filter off.
but then you'll hear all my amazing plosives, and it's just a. Is it still doing it?
It is still doing it.
All right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna drop out again. Be right back.
Oh.
I'm
And I
back.
need to go watch these two movies.
I'm back again.
I've seen Iron
Okay.
Man, but I need to go watch The Incredible Hulk.
Yes, you.
Well, I can recommend a person to watch that will explain all
Nope,
the
I can't hear you, Piratic. Gabby's mic is
Yeah,
not
it's still doing it.
already.
Stupid. All right, I have a. This is a bad fix. I'm gonna apologize in advance. It's gonna sound really bad for a second.
Oh my god.
All right,
Ugh,
is it better?
Oh.
It's still doing it. Drop out now. Because last time you did the thing and then you dropped out.
Mike,
Ta-da!
work with
Okay.
me.
So,
Ta-da!
Piratic, what were you saying?
I said I can recommend the perfect person to watch these movies with that will point out all the little intricacies that I didn't know about or that Larry likes to keep bringing up.
Like Stan Lee. I mean, can you believe Piratic doesn't know who
Stan
Stan
Lee
Lee
is
is?
Stan
How did
Lee
you
is
not
a
know who
type of
Stan
hammer.
Lee was, Piratic?
I never read the comic books.
So, I haven't either.
What does Stan Lee have to do with the comic books aside from being the author?
Stan, for crying out loud, Stan Lee's in the cartoons.
Okay,
Oh.
whoa, whoa, whoa.
No,
I don't think I ever watched
Stan Lee
the cartoons.
The only cartoons.
cartoon Stan Lee is in
Big Hero 6.
Yeah, Big Hero 6.
Now, when I say cartoons, I mean like they have a character that looks like Stan Lee in all of the cartoons. I don't think it's actually Stan Lee.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't voice
In the
anybody.
cartoons.
That may be true, but he doesn't voice anybody.
No,
No, he doesn't voice anybody. He only voices Big Hero 6,
and then
which I think was the best thing ever.
And that's
Did you know he was in Big Hero 6, Piratic?
Yes, he does now.
he does now. Because we showed him a compilation of every Stan Lee cameo since 1990s, whatever it was, 2000. Anyway,
So I need these predictions.
okay, I have a prediction,
I'm-
and I have a wonderful idea. I have a
Okay.
Now already had the wonderful idea. We got to contact Ryan Reynolds, and we'll get that resolved.
No.
We did have a
Wait.
great idea that I do need to contact Ryan Reynolds about. I've tweeted at him. He did not.
What is it?
What is
What
it?
is it? What idea?
We need either an Avengers movie or an X-Men movie narrated by Deadpool in the style of Emperor's New Groove.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that was not the one that I was talking about. I was talking about the taxi driver.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Taxi
another.
driver?
Okay,
Yes.
okay. So, go ahead, Piratic. You can say it.
So in the Hulk, he finally Banner finally meets up with his love of his life,
Eddie.
blah blah blah, and
Gabby,
I'm trying to help.
you get me?
I'm trying to help.
Mike.
And
What? Oh. Shh.
anyways, so Banner finally meets up with the love of his life. They take a taxi somewhere, and the taxi driver is a complete idiot. Like, he's driving like a maniac. He's just going, crazy through town, things like that, almost kills him. So they get out of the car. She starts screaming at the taxi driver, and all of a sudden, Masters goes, "That's who Darpindar's, brother should be. Is that guy right there? We need to contact Ryan Reynolds. He needs to kill him off or do something to him, and it needs to be that guy right there." And yeah,
This
that's
was
about where it came from.
this was not necessarily how that conversation went, but it's kind of close.
No, that's the gist of
The
it.
gist of it. The end result was that needs to be the guy that stole Defender's girlfriend, and then like Deadpool comes in and just like kills him. So, yeah.
Which I'm surprised they didn't think about that when they did Deadpool and everything like that, because that'd be just about perfect.
Because I mean, like the guy who's in the taxi there is like the perfect kind of person for Deadpool to just be like, no, you've lived long enough, and just kill him.
Yes. I've never watched. That's the only two Marvel movies other than Incredible Hulk I've never watched was the Deadpool movies because they're rated R and they're really rough. And I haven't had time to watch.
They're really rough.
Yeah, they're really rough. So I've never watched them.
In the
Rough. So you've never watched Jurassic Park then either?
Huh?
Different kind of rough pirate.
Jurassic Park does not have a certain thing that the first Deadpool does in the first like 10 minutes. So
I don't care about gore and all that. That's not the kind of rough I'm talking about, Piratic.
she's talking about language and other things.
Language,
Product
another
of the
thing.
80s, so
Way too
yeah,
much giggity. Way too
No,
much
there's a
giggity.
perfect amount of giggity.
Well, you can't come to Disney until you watch Deadpool, so.
Heyo.
Alrighty. Well, I've already seen it, so we're good. Yeah. Anyway,
When am I invited to Disney?
I didn't know she was. When did she?
I didn't know I was. I'm invited to Disney?
When she decided to pick Black Widow as the costume.
Oh.
Well, I wasn't exactly expecting Masters or you and Gabby to wear it.
Oh, I could totally see Masters wearing it.
Oh,
Come
gosh.
on now, that would just be
That's an
perfect.
image I don't need in my
No,
head.
That's an image I don't want in my head either. I'm just imagining the shirt coming up and just stopping right here and all this just hanging out.
That's just as an
Like,
image I don't need.
Just imagine all of the super large cross players that dress. Me wearing a short red wig that looks horrible. Nope.
Dear God, no.
No.
Stop, make it stop, make it stop.
Masters.
Yes.
You can't be the short wig Black Widow. You got to be the Iron Man 2 Black Widow.
Iron Man.
It's
The
different.
pregnant one?
No! Iron Man 2! What's wrong with you?
Oh my gosh.
I
I just. Nope. Nope. Oh, I'm gonna have nightmares now.
Black Widow Iron
Oh.
Man 2. Yeah!
I don't own that much latex.
Okay. Well, that's
Anyway,
all right.
back to your prediction.
All right. Here's a prediction. I'm going to give a prediction, and then I'm going to give a brief synopsis of a great way to introduce one of the best villains of all time to the MCU.
Weren't there two predictions?
Yes. Yes, there were.
No, there was one prediction and one good idea.
No, there was another prediction. Well, my other prediction was that Infinity War Part 2 was going to set up Banner and the Hulk merging into Maestro Hulk.
Oh, okay.
Which I think is...
I think it's gonna. I think is a very good possibility.
Very good possibility.
They're really working on exploring that dichotomy there.
Here's my other prediction, okay? And this one's gonna be out on a limb, and it's gonna be, like I said, I had this weird thought, like how Infinity War is gonna end with this gut wrenching thing revolving around Pepper. Oh, I just had such okay. We don't know how long everyone's gone.
I've heard it's a year.
Because so if everyone's gone for a year, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
What if one of the half of humanity that is destroyed, gone, when Thanos clicks his fingers, is Tony and Pepper's baby?
Because Pyretic hasn't seen the movie yet.
Oh.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. I'm like, wait a minute. Spoilers.
Wait a minute, you haven't seen the movie?
You don't. Okay. Pirate.
We haven't watched them yet.
Get out! Get out! You're unqualified.
This is why I didn't want to go into other movies.
Wait a second.
What has he not seen?
He has not seen Infinity Wars.
Is that all that he hasn't seen?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna say this. That's not really a spoiler.
Not really.
That's not really a spoiler.
Everyone knows he snaps.
Mr. Stark.
Yeah, but you also said the other part.
What?
That's not a spoiler. That's not even.
It is a spoiler.
It's an unconfirmed speculation about a part of the movie that's also unconfirmed.
Yeah. Like literally.
They're talking about how it's such a
speculation.
like Pepper's saying the only thing that there's like Pepper's saying it's a terrible idea. We should not reproduce, and I'm saying that possibly they already have and they don't realize it yet, and that when they when Thanos goes like this, the baby is one of those that just goes, come on,
Poof.
And then a year later comes back in, but has everybody just disappeared? Have they aged? What's going on?
Ooh, that's weird.
And so, like, if everyone is aged up a year, a baby aged up a year comes back to mom, all of a sudden we have a real problem on our hands. This is
well, I mean,
it's Disney, so they're probably not going to go that dark, but it's a distinct possibility.
But if you think about it, though, even if she had like just become pregnant, she's only going to be like a couple months along. So at the most, the baby's only going to be like 10 or 11. Not even like some mothers carry up to 10 months or more.
I was a 10-month baby.
I almost was.
Yeah.
Odd fact. But I mean, what I was
19 days late.
I was a full 32 days late. 32 days.
Yeah, so it's very possible that it wouldn't be an issue, especially with modern medicine and C-sections and stuff.
Yeah, but
it would still be really shocking to a system.
But what I'm saying is that it was getting to a certain point, and
Hi, One Iron.
Hey, One Iron. Hi. Wow. Welcome. But the body cannot just accept a fully grown, a fully formed body inside of it,
No,
Disney will probably not allow that to happen. Disney will 99.999% not going to let that happen. But it is a very, very minute possibility, and it would be a very interesting thing to have happen. I'm not really sure how it would add to the story, but it's overall,
also very possible that we'll come back a year later and she has a kid.
Also very possible.
Which is also going to be very interesting.
Yes. Anyway, here is my dream movie for or my dream introduction for a villain into the MCU, which could be a recurring villain and needs to be a recurring villain if they do decide to introduce him. And okay. Infinity War happens. Everybody comes back. Who's going to come back? Yeah. Whoever they are. We know a couple of them who they're going to be just because of contracts, things like that.
Yeah.
We know Spider-Man's going to come back. We know Cap will come back for a little bit. for however much longer they're going to have Chris Evans around. Other people are going to come back, and then like the one in particular, T'Challa's going to come back, King of Wakanda, and I'm going to pitch to you my take for Black Panther 2.
Okay.
Okay, so Thanos gets defeated, whatever. The reverse snapping of the fingers, people come back. T'Challa gets back to his homeland. He is reinstituted as king. Yeah. And when the snap happens, maybe an end credit scene or something like that for Infinity War, there's an empty throne there. The snap happens, and a person rematerializes on the throne. European descent, very regal looking, looks around, and a man walks in and says, "Your Majesty, welcome back to Latveria."
Oh.
Yes. I got one. For those who
that would be so
Okay,
brilliant.
for the rest of us.
That would be so brilliant.
Yes.
Hold on real quick. Technically, didn't Captain America: The First Avenger happen before Iron Man and the Incredible Hulk?
Yeah.
Yes, because Captain America: The First Avenger happened in
The 1940s.
the 1940s.
Okay, so then why did we watch Iron Man first?
Because they're order of release, not order of chronology.
And also,
Okay, let's go back to your. Hold on. Let's go. What?
Okay. Okay. So let me.
Spell it out for me.
I'm gonna spell it out for you.
can
I'm
I
gonna.
spell it out for you?
No. Because I'm gonna tell the story. I'm gonna tell the story and let them figure it out. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So we go back into the movie. T'Challa is back on his throne. He's going back. He's being king again. He's being Black Panther a little bit. You show a little bit of action scenes, and he receives a request from a foreign dignitary. Says, King of Wakanda, our king has been kidnapped. We request that you come and help us. We are from an isolated country like your own. We don't trust anybody else. Would you help us to recover our king? He goes, okay, I'll do it. And so he goes and he finds his kidnappers. He goes through and he just tears them up in this, Black Panther, everything. And he gets to the end, and he goes in and he says, "Hello, I'm T'Challa. I'm King of Wakanda. Blah blah blah. Who are you?" He says, "I am Victor Von Doom, King of Latveria."
Latveria. Oh, that'd be so. There's actually talk that Doctor Doom could be in Black Panther 2.
And
I googled it, and there's actually talk that he could be.
Darn it! They stole my idea.
Before you had it.
No, I had this idea like 2 weeks ago.
Zeus, come here. Well, this was in February, so.
Well, so here's the thing. So he goes to Doom, and Doom has set up this entire plan where he's been kidnapped, and he says, "Hey, now we have our two separate countries. We need to protect ourselves so that nothing like what Thanos did can ever happen again. Can we start corresponding, coming together, trading, everything else like that?" And T'Challa goes, "Okay, well," because he's already starting to work out. And he says, "Okay, let's see what you have." And so they start trading back and forth a little bit, not too much, and then Doom sets something up where he steals a ton of vibranium, and he uses it to start making Doombots and to start making his suit. And the thing is, in this continuity, Dr. Doom is a student of Tony Stark. Make him a little bit younger. Make him having just recently ascended to the throne. He was, even in the original comic run, he was educated in America. Who says he couldn't have been, trained at MIT by Tony Stark? Maybe give him more of a AI focus than on robotics. So his suits are a couple years, behind Tony in terms of technology. Bring in the guy from Iron Man 2, Hammer. Have him be his technology assistant. Sam Rockwell.
That would go horribly.
But okay, you don't want his technology to be up to par, which is why he needs to steal the vibranium to bring his technology up to par, so he can defend against it better. And so, to kind of bring it up to a higher level.
Of his own country and have a big metal helmet on.
Right, who's watching a video?
Mickey
I'm
D.
watching a video.
Yeah, well, turn your anyway. And so he does all this, and he creates this. He creates a suit out of vibranium that he's stolen from T'Challa, and then they have this big fight back and forth. And in it, Victor's face gets deformed and mangled like it ought to. because that's why he starts wearing the mask so much. And at the end, like they're about, I mean, this is getting a little bit farther into it. T'Challa's like, you betrayed me, you lied to me, you destroyed my country, blah, 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 blah. I should kill you right now. And Doom just looks at him and goes, yeah, but you won't. And T'Challa's like, why would I not kill you? It's like, because if you do that, then we're going to war. And he does the Doom thing, and Doom is famous for just like pushing the button and showing like the biggest and just doing this huge reveal to be like a psychological defense. He pushes the button, the door goes up, and a whole army of Doombots is just right there. It's like, I'll give you back what I took, but you can't take back the technology that I've learned. And if you kill me, all of these Doombots are going to go and they're going to destroy Wakanda. And so like he has to let him go. And so you give a villain plot armor, because then it's not just he's bad, but he's bad and he's untouchable. Because if the Americans try and come against him, well, he's a sovereign ruler. He has the ability to defend himself to the full extent.
He has, yeah. It's in a lot of the animated stuff. It's a plot point that they can't ever do anything to him because they have no proof, and he has diplomatic immunity.
Right. And so he is the perfect villain to come into the MCU after Thanos, because he has built-in plot armor. You can't touch Doom. He is invulnerable. He's invincible. And although it's perfect, even though the stuff that he does is atrocious, the dregs of humanity, his people love him. So he can't.
He takes care of his country.
His people love him.
Takes care of his people.
His people love him. He is a sovereign ruler on his own land, and to come against him would be a sign of aggression. That he could just turn around to the whole world and say, "Look, they're beating up on me," and let Barry's just this tiny little weak little country. Can you believe it? And look at these Wakandans. They've been hiding all this technology and this vibranium from us. Exposed all of this stuff to them, to the world, and it's like, oh, you can't touch Doom because Doom is invincible. And I want to see this so badly.
That would be so cool. But of course, in February, Nerdist posted an article saying that it's very possible that Doom could be in the works for Black Panther 2.
And I know that Doom is not typically a Black Panther villain, but I
think it would work, though.
More so.
Could do it at like the end or something like that to open up something.
Well, precisely that's what I say. You have to kind of set it up in Infinity War, so like he's one of the half that were gone, and when he comes back, there's like attendants on hand.
I feel like I have to watch 2 movies tonight.
This is a possibility. But here's my thing. I want to play Doom, but that's a whole other story. Wouldn't I?
So old. I mean, a good game, but still.
Like, there's a whole comic book thread they could pull from for the Doctor Doom Wakanda story, because Doom overthrows the Wakandan government. Which another thing they could do is Doom wasn't one of the half that disappeared,
right?
And he overthrew the government while T'Challa was gone.
Okay, that'd be kind of cool too. I wasn't aware of that storyline, but
I just found it. It was published in 2010.
Okay.
Depends on how close they go with the comics, though. That's the thing.
Yeah,
they're
not known for doing.
Yeah, they typically pull bits and pieces of different storylines and piece them together.
Yeah.
Like Cap should have died like 5 movies ago, but he didn't.
Yeah. So, with that being wrapping it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Typically, this would be the point of the review where we would rank the movies that we currently have watched.
Right.
But this time being just Iron Man and the Incredible Hulk, is there really a competition here, Gavi?
No.
Honestly, not.
Yes. So here is, we're just going to end it on Iron Man comes number 1 and Incredible Hulk number 2.
Right.
For this series.
So far.
Today, so far.
Yeah.
So far. So for the next movie review night, the next, the Fan, the Fanatic, and the
Fortunate.
To Be Determined.
Let's just stick with Fortunate.
Fortunate right now, but I still think we could come up with something better.
Yeah, I do too. But on the next installment of
Gabby, your
FFF,
mic.
whatever those
No.
Fs might be, we will tack on to the list of which is better. So we will be comparing not only the two movies to each other, but then at the end we will go back and put those in order with respects to the movies we had already seen.
Okay.
We're gonna
I
have
like
to come
this
up with
idea.
like a background where we list these or something.
Yes. This time we did not plan very well. Next time we will plan better.
I was
There's a
just
learning curve,
I was
wasn't
just told that they wanted me here for my opinion, and then I showed up, and nothing was ready, and I was also told that I was expressing my opinion too much, so I'm not sure if I'll be back next time.
Throwing us under the bus already.
Had you been on time, so
We've already discussed that. We're not going into that anymore.
Hashtag Late Gabby.
It's not my fault.
Oh my goodness, I'm adding
So-
that to the command.
When
Right,
is
let's see
our
here.
next movie review?
Next movie review is
Will be on
September
7th?
28th. 28th.
September 28th.
It's once a month. Is it once a month?
Yeah.
Yes, it is once a month.
Last Friday of every
Okay.
month. We may have to do the 21st. I'll have to get back with you on that.
Sorry, say that again. You cut out.
We may have to do the 21st. I'm not sure. The 28th could be interesting. I will do my best to make sure that happens. But
When is the 28th?
that is the last one in September. The
I'm
21st.
aware of that, but for you.
Where is the 28th?
Like when? Like why is that going to be an issue for you, Gabby?
Because I'm helping to start a church, and there's a big event going on
What?
that weekend. Because I'm helping to start a church, and there's a big event going on that weekend. Yeah.
Okay.
well, we could always push it. I mean, we have to watch 2 movies inside of the next 3 weeks, so you know that'll be a challenge all on its own.
Yeah, but we can do it. I have faith in us. All right.
All right.
Oh.
So,
Now I understand what's
There we
going
go.
on.
what do you mean now you understand?
Well-
Never mind. I'll explain in a second. After I'll explain when we're done. I'll explain when we're done.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I'm just going to go ahead and get this out of the way. There we go.
All right. Beautiful. You should give that one to Kuya. Do we have a raid target?
I have not even looked.
We could. I know we just did it recently, but do you want to try Disastrosaurus again?
Disastersaurus. What?
That was one me and Kuya raided on Monday.
I don't know who that is.
What mixer are y'all? Which mixer are y'all in? Masters or Gabby's?
Yes.
Do Shockadub.
We could do Shockadub, sure.
See, Shockadub. I've got purple. So, you wanna
What?
either one of those is fine.
Let's do Shockadub.
All right.
I need to mute this.
All right, let's pull up this.
I'm gonna go raid at Shockadub.
That'd
We're
be the
gonna
one.
use hashtag FFF movie review
Mania. Who knows?
movie review hashtag like that.
I don't feel the love.
Hashtag Masters Gabby raid. I guess we'll just go with that.
All right, that works for me. Alrighty then. Well, to those who are here. Whoa!
Okay, so who are we?
Who turned the sound on?
Who do you think?
That would be hers. I was like, whoa, that's weird.
Yeah.
I couldn't find mute for Gabby's. I couldn't find the mute for some reason. It's all muted now, though.
Alrighty.
Notice how she knows how to immediately mute Masters.
No, he was already muted because I've looked at his stream before, I've never been on Gabby's stream.
I feel the
So
love.
who are we raiding and how are we raiding? Because I've never raided. I don't know what that means.
We are going to go raid Shakadub. If
Click
you're
the-
on one of our channels, you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll pop up, and you just copy and paste this. Just copy and paste this right here, and we are just going to. When it pops up, you will paste it into the chat, hit enter, and then up, enter, up, enter, up, enter, up, enter.
That's the thing.
Okay.
That is the pattern.
Yep.
And we will spam up his chat. Typically, if they have a raid video, we will spam it through the raid video. If they don't, then once they acknowledge the raid, we tone it down.
Yeah.
Unless when they're acknowledging the raid, they say to pump it up.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
Okay. I think I understood that.
Good.
So we are going to go raid Shakadub. Thanks everyone for joining us.
Yes, indeed.
Bye, everybody.
It's
Thank you
been
for having
fun.
us.
So long.
And we
Farewell.
will see you next week. Gabby? Yes?
Yes.
All I can think about on your stream is that episode of The Office where Dwight takes the mannequin and puts its face on his face.
Oh. But I'm Iron
That's all
Man.
I can think. I know you're Iron Man, but that's all I can think.
You're only half of Iron Man.
I'm Iron Man. All right. Anyway, let's end this stream. Good night, everybody. Thanks for stopping
Good night.
in. Good night.
See ya.